Hey gang, in this video, we're gonna get you a little bit more prepared for the A+ exam. Hey, I'm Ron from ITMasterKey.com, and if you've never seen me before, it's my job to help you get certified. So the A+ exam is a two-part exam. You gotta pass both parts of the exam to be certified. So on this video, or in this video, we're actually gonna focus more on the first part, and then we'll focus on the second part in a couple videos down the line. So before we get into that, I actually want to give a shout out to Jeff Foster, a longtime supporter. Hey Jeff, appreciate all the love. So he said that I never do a video without a fresh haircut. So my plan was today to wake up about 11 o'clock because my hair was looking crazy and do a video, but time got away from me and I had to go get a damn haircut. So eventually, Jeff, you will see me one day on here without a haircut, but not today. So if this is your first time doing a practice exam with me and going through these questions, the way that we usually do it is like this. So I'll read out the question, give you some time to come up with the answer on your own, and then we'll talk about the answer as a family together. So before we get straight into the questions, the A+ is a two-part exam like I told you, and both exams have 90 questions and you have a total of 90 minutes to knock out those questions and those simulations and those scenario-based questions. So without further ado, here's the first question. Sheila is a new intern for Cyber Master. She is always busy completing tasks for high-level executives. An executive tells her he needs 3 very important labels printed and put on his desk ASAP. Sheila prints the labels and places them on the exec's desk. A few minutes later, the exec comes to Sheila absolutely infuriated. He screams, "Every few lines of the label is missing. What did you do?" The exec demands she fixes the problem immediately. What should Sheila do? Sheila goes to the printer to begin troubleshooting. The printer is a thermal printer and has been working fine for some time. What should Sheila do to try to fix the issue? Should she resend the labels to the printer, install new ink cartridges, realign ribbon print heads, or empty printer cache and refill paper? All right, gang, hopefully you came up with realign the print heads. So in printers in general and in thermal printers, if the print heads aren't aligned properly, it won't print everything. It may skip a few lines, it may print double lines, so if they aren't actually aligned correctly to stamp where they're supposed to stamp, this issue could happen. Now, it could be a multitude of other things, but with this scenario, it would most likely be that the ribbon or the print heads were misaligned. So talking about with this scenario, make sure when you're actually inside the testing center, when you're actually inside the room, that you focus on what the hell this scenario is talking about. Don't think about what happened at your job. Don't think about what I would do. Just think about this scenario only. A lot of times we try and factor in other things, it's going to have you looking pretty bad after you take the test. All right, so let's get to the next question. Janelle just moved into her downtown apartment. She'll be working from home, so her network has to be optimized. She sets up her WAP and begins working with 0 issues. Around lunchtime, she notices that her internet connection seems to be intermittent. She has several wireless devices within her home that she uses regularly. What can Janelle do to improve her connection? Should she restart her WAP and router, then leave it unplugged overnight? Should she restart her router and place WAP on the farthest end of the apartment? Should she put router on a channel bonding and put the WAP on standby mode? Should she restart her router and WAP, move WAP closer to her work device and away from all the other wireless devices? So gang, hopefully you pick the last option. So if you restart your device, restart the router, and restart the WAP, a lot of times that'll go ahead and get rid of any configuration issues, any intermittent issues. It'll just need to recalibrate. I almost had a seizure. It may need to recalibrate. It may need to just get itself back together, right? A lot of times in IT, you'll notice just turning the damn thing off and turning it back on will fix it. And then as far as the connectivity issues, a lot of times, if you have a lot of other wireless devices, if they're on the same channel, if they're on the same frequency, they may have connection issues. They may actually be interfering with you actually connecting to the device. So moving your WAP away from those things and closer to what you're actually trying to connect to may actually work a lot better. And a lot of times, if you have a wireless router and you have other WAPs, sometimes your device gets confused. Sometimes instead of connecting to or trying to connect to what you're right next to, it'll be connecting to something on the other side of the house, right? Anyway, for this scenario, restarting the WAP and restarting the router and then moving the actual wireless access point closer to you would be the most feasible, make the most sense. And since we're talking about this, WAP, right? If you didn't know what the fuck WAP stood for, then that would pretty much make this really difficult, right? It would make it really difficult. So just remember that on the actual exam, there's gonna be a lot of acronyms, right? A lot of acronyms. And so if you ever are studying, you need to figure out what something stands for, what something does, so on and so forth. Make sure that you do that, because inside the actual test, there probably won't be a lot of things spelled out. And then a lot of times, if you used to seeing something spelled out and then it turns into an acronym, it can make things confusing. Okay, let's go to the next question. So before we get to the next question, do me a favor, like this video for the YouTube algorithm, and then make sure you subscribe to Master I.T so I can continue to make videos just like this one. Jerry has formed a partnership with a company that's located out of the country. He will have to collaborate with his overseas partners frequently. His partners will need access to files and folders that are located on Jerry's network. What would be the best option for Jerry from a security standpoint? Should he place the files into a vault that's in transit mode? Should he put shared folders on a server that's placed in a DMZ? Should he mail the files directly to his partners? Should he place a firewall on the network with default of deny all? Okay, gang, hopefully you said out of those options you picked putting the file server in the DMZ. So the DMZ is the demilitarized zone. So a demilitarized zone is a common access point for people that you want to work with, people that you need to do business with, people that you want to give them access to certain things, but you don't actually want to give them access to your network. So the DMZ would be separate from your actual network. You would put the file server over there and let your overseas partners rock out and do whatever they need to do. So if they are doing some weird stuff, they are trying to scam, if they're trying to do something malicious, they would only have access to that DMZ and that file server on the DMZ as opposed to your entire network. All right, so a DMZ just separates my network from something else. And a lot of times you put things in a DMZ that you don't want other people to have access to, right? So you put your file server in a DMZ, your partners can rock out, but no matter what they do on that file server, your actual network or real network won't get affected. Make sense? Fantastic. You're currently using a Linux operating system. You aren't as familiar with Linux as you are with other operating systems. You bring up the command prompt and begin entering commands. You notice you are working within the wrong directory. How can you switch to another directory? What command needs to be entered? So gang, hopefully you picked CD. What does CD stand for? Change directory. All right, that's simple. So there won't be a lot of Linux questions on the A+ exam, but there will be Linux questions on the exam. And most of the questions that you're going to come across is going to be things like this. What does this command do? What is ipconfig inside of a Linux terminal, inside of a Linux box? Is it the same command? Is it something different? So on and so forth. So just general commands would be the only thing that you usually run into as far as Linux is concerned on the A+ exam. So we've been rocking out for a few minutes, right? Went through a few questions. Have you seen the variants and pretty much all the different things we've talked about, right? So just remember, that's how the A+ is going to be set up. It's not going to be 10 questions about printers, 10 questions about wireless connectivity, 5 questions. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be a question about Linux and a question about networking and a question about operating systems. So just make sure that by the time that you get inside of the box, inside of the actual testing center, or if you're taking it at home, that you feel comfortable troubleshooting. I got over 200 videos on goddamn YouTube, and all those videos stress that every CompTIA test that you take, you need to be well versed in troubleshooting. So make sure that you're good with that and you'll be fine. In the comments below, let me know if you take an A+ this year and when you actually plan to test. And then just update me and your cousins in the comments when you actually pass the exam. I'm talking about passing the exam. Over at itmasterkey.com, we got students, whatever. People passing the exam every day. We got full A+ course over there for the first part and the second part. And it's literally people passing the A+ on a weekly and a daily basis. So if you're looking for a full course that has online lectures, is available 24/7, has practice exams, and includes the voucher to take the exam, go ahead and head over to itmasterkey.com. I'll put the link to the course in the description as well. There's also testimonials over there, just in case you think I'm full of shit about the people that's passing, but it's testimonials on there as well. But anyway, let's get to the last question. So I didn't want to completely crush you guys, so this one is going to be short and sweet. What is the first troubleshooting step according to the A+ exam? What is the first troubleshooting step? Is it figure out what's wrong, state the problem, document the problem, recreate the problem, or identify the problem? So hopefully you picked identify the problem. So you may be looking at that and like, oh, okay, figure out what's wrong and identify the problem. Ain't that the same thing? Or state the problem and identify the problem. Ain't the same thing? No. So there is no technically it's this way, or I feel like none of that. The answer is the answer, right? So according to CompTIA, the first troubleshooting step is identifying the problem, right? So there's several troubleshooting steps. We'll get into those troubleshooting steps in later videos, but right now, the first step is identify the problem. And how I identify the problem? A lot of y'all watching this ain't subscribed, so make sure that you like, hit subscribe, and other than that, I'll see you in class. Hey gang, this is Rob, and in this video, we're gonna help you pass the A+ certification. All right, gang, if you've never seen me before, I'm Rob, the founder and creator of Master I.T, the home of the Zero to IT Hero program. If you're interested in training, you can visit the link below. So if you never rocked out with me before, we actually go through some practice questions for A+ to get you a little bit better with your analytical thinking and ways to critically analyze stuff to be able to decipher information out of the A+ exam to help you get a better score when you actually go inside the box, okay? So right now, we're not gonna waste no time. I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna get straight into it. Do me a favor, the price of admission for this training is a like for the YouTube algorithm. Let's see, is it this one? Yeah, it should be. All right, hopefully you guys can see it. We're gonna start rocking out right now. So Ron is a gamer and wants the cheapest way possible to increase the speed of processes handled in his PC. What should he do? Should he install 4 additional sticks of RAM? Should he throttle the CPU? Should he overclock the CPU? Or should he overclock the CPU and increase the RAID level? Which one do we think? All right, so I think that he should overclock the CPU. So the reason for that is you got to look at keywords when we're taking these exams, right? So it says he wants to do the cheapest way possible to increase his speed. And the cheapest way possible would be to overclock the CPU. So overclocking the CPU is basically when you change the CPU settings to go faster than the manufacturer recommends, right? And a lot of times if you overclock the CPU, the CPU will actually overheat, right? So if you're going to overclock the CPU, you probably should also get better cooling, okay? All right, so the owner of Jazzy Paint has 3 locations throughout the Georgia-Chicago area. All locations need a minimum speed of 1 gigabit per second. What type of network is Jazzy Paint most likely a part of? Are they part of a MAN, a PAN, a WLAN Q, or a CAN? So when we actually get inside of the testing center, or if you take the exam at home, acronyms are a big part of the exam, right? If you don't know what acronyms stand for, you're going to have a rough time. You're going to have a tough time inside the actual exam. You have to know what these acronyms stand for, and it's going to make your time during the exam a lot easier, and you won't have a damn seizure while you're taking the exam from freaking out because you don't know what the acronyms stand for, right? So I think he should, or she should pick MAN. All right, so it says the Greater Chicago Area, and MAN stands for Metropolitan Area Network. Metropolitan is also known, or another term for city, okay? The finance department is complaining about not being able to print. The printer is connected through a print server. What is the first thing you should do to fix the issue? Restart all devices, restart the print server, clear the print queue, or roll back the drivers. So once again, when you're actually inside the box, you got to pay attention to this stuff. What's the first thing you should do, right? What's the very first thing you should do? The first thing you should do is probably clear the print queue, right? If anything's stuck, if anything's having some issues, just clear that print queue. And then if that doesn't work, then you could go to the next troubleshooting step. You go to the next thing down the line. Once again, if you have not liked this video, shame on you. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with anybody who can benefit from this stuff. So password trouble tickets have risen by 20%. How can system admins reduce the amount of password-related trouble tickets? Implement password expirations, biometrics, single sign-on, RFID key fob. What do we think? So when we talk about trouble tickets, right? Trouble tickets are the technical term for when you're working inside of help desk, when you're working inside of IT, you're going to have some kind of ticketing system. And trouble tickets, because you're a troubleshooter, you got to figure out how to fix shit. The trouble tickets are going to be, you're going to become very intimate with the trouble ticketing system and trouble tickets, right? So they've risen by 20%. So you kind of want to reduce those. So I think the easiest way would be to implement single sign-on, which means that you will sign on to something once, but you would have access to several different applications, right? So instead of having a different password for each application, you would authenticate through one application, then it will give you access to all the other applications that you would need. That way, people wouldn't have a hard time remembering their passwords, and it'll make your job easier because you would have to keep on resetting people's passwords, right? Maria is a help desk lead for TechTerra Inc. She is on call when the device's hard drive she's working on begins to make a loud clicking noise. What is the first thing Maria should do? Should she inform the owner the hard disk drive is most likely about to fail and ask them if she can back up all the data? Hit their hard drive with a rubber mallet until the clicking stops, move to a VDS, or reset KVM switch. So while you guys deliberate about that, a question that may come up is, where the hell are these questions from? So these questions are questions that I made up personally, right, to help my students in the 0 to Hero IT program. They have access to not only these practice questions, but a bunch of more practice questions. And the practice questions that they have access to that's in their final exam mirrors the questions that's on the real exam, Well, it doesn't mirror it, but it tries to simulate, the actual process of taking the exam. And the cool thing is, after they go through the training, they're so laser focused on knowing what they need to know that a lot of times they actually have about 15 to 20 minutes to spare on the actual exam, like the certification exam and the real exam, because I pretty much turn them to absolute beasts once it's time to. Why am I stuttering so damn much? Once it's time to take the exam. Anyway, inform the owner that the hard disk drive most likely is going to fail. So a lot of times with traditional hard drives, if you hear a clicking noise and it's sticking, most likely that drive is about to fail. So while it's still working, you want to back up everything. So if it eventually fails, it won't be, all your data won't be gone and corrupt. Make sense? Now, if the user says, hey, man, whatever, I don't feel like waiting for you to back it up, have them sign something that says, hey, I don't give a damn about my data, just so when it does corrupt or if it does mess up or blow up while you're trying to fix it, you won't be liable for that information, okay? Okay, Juan opens his email on his new mobile device. He finds that all images will not appear. No matter who the email is from, the images don't seem to be downloading. What's the first thing Juan should do? Should he run patch updates, change the email client security settings, restart the device, or delete all emails? What do we think he should do? All right, what I would do, I think it would be to change the email's client security settings. Now, on the actual exam, right, you want to come across questions like this where you can kind of wrestle with 2 or 3 different options, right? So I'm going to go with change email client security settings. If that's not right, I got a feeling it's run patch updates. So let's see. All right, so even though I made this, I don't remember shit every answer. So change the email client security settings, because a lot of times if you have the security turned up a little bit too high, it won't download any images. It'll see every image as a harmful file and won't download them automatically. So you tweak those security settings and then you should be good to go, or Juan should be good to go. All right, Laura owns Sweetwater Dog Saloon in Sweetwater Mall. She is located in between 2 other small businesses. She wants to provide Wi-Fi to her employees and her employees only. How can she ensure only her employees have access to the network? Let you guys read through that, deliberate, and see what you come up with. So once again, if you haven't liked this video, shame on you. Like it right now. Subscribe and share this video with anybody who can benefit. All right. So what do we think it is? Do we think it's reduce the range of the wireless network to not reach beyond the salon's business, setup router for geofencing, enable MAC address filtering on the router? Wi-Fi will not be available in the salon. So what do we think we should try? So I would say you can enable MAC address filtering. So unless you got some super smart hackers or somebody that knows how to get around this, she could enable MAC address filtering, which means that only the MAC addresses and only the devices that she accepts and puts inside the router's MAC table will be able to connect to that device, right? So she could hide the actual SSID so everybody wouldn't see it. SSID is the network name, and she could add those devices to the MAC address, and it would try and filter out anybody else that tried to connect to that network, okay? Jenison Gym Equipment, Inc. wants to allow its executive the ability to work remotely. What would allow employees to accomplish this? Tethering, hotspot, VPN, or NAT. So with some questions, it doesn't give you as many details as you would like. Other questions may give you way more detail than you need, right? So let's look at the things that jump out in this question. So the main thing is that they want them to work remotely, right? Which one of these would be used directly for remote work most time, right? So if you're tethering, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing remote work. A hotspot doesn't mean that you're doing remote work. NAT, that doesn't really mean that you're doing remote work, right? But a VPN or a virtual private network most likely means that you're trying to do remote work, right? And what a what a VPN does is it actually secures you, right? I'm on a VPN right now. So I'm in a hotel and I want the traffic that I'm sending over the internet, over my browser to be encrypted. So if somebody tries to get onto my session, if somebody tries to peek over my shoulder, theoretically, they won't be able to see the information. So that's what a VPN does. It secures the traffic, pretty much hides the traffic away from people that only have bad intentions for you, okay? If you are looking for training, once again, our students over in the Zero to IT Hero program, which is going to be linked down in the description, are getting their first certification in 30 days. Our record so far is a student getting certified in 2 weeks, right? So the program includes the CompTIA certification that you need, plus bonus Microsoft training. Most students are finished with the entire program and are actually working in tech within 4 to 6 months. So, did we talk about this? No, I don't think we said this one yet. All right, Vaughn has just opened a barbecue restaurant in the Lower East Side of Detroit. He wants customers to be able to check in and get on the waiting. Let's say waiting list. Let's act like the word list is there. Check in and get on the waiting list when the hostess is busy. Which of the following would best suit his needs? Long story short, he wants the customers to be able to get on a line or get in line pretty much to be seated, even if a hostess isn't at the front. Which one of these things would best help the owner of this barbecue restaurant do that? Hopefully you guys said touch screen kiosk, right? It's touch screen kiosk. So on a touch screen kiosk, if you set it up correctly, it could just have an app on there. It could have something on there to say, okay, these are the seats that are available. Pretty much like nowadays when you go to the movie theater, a lot of times they'll have a screen and it'll show you these are the seats available. So that would pretty much be the same type of app that he would have or that Vaughn would have, and he wouldn't have to worry about always having to have a hostess up at the front. She can be doing other things. Roman moves a high-end graphics card from his old computer to a new computer. The graphic card seemed to work fine when using email, web pages, and various other applications. But when he tries to play Logan Quest, a new PC game, his machine restarts after a few minutes of the gameplay. What most likely is the issue? Man, I'm thirsty as hell. Stay hydrated, gang. All right, so what are we talking about? So I think I'm looking at 2 for this too, but I'm gonna say maybe a power supply wattage is incorrect. That's what I'm gonna say. Let's see if that's right. Very good. So if you have the incorrect wattage, that's pretty much a fail-safe for the device. It's going to shut down and restart and see, hey, what's going on? Something isn't right. Something isn't clicking. Let me make sure that everything's okay. Or it's kind of like a signal to you like, hey, something isn't right. Daryl has a big presentation that he's nervous about. He turns on the projector to begin his presentation. After a few slides, the projector bulb turns off. What should a technician do to resolve the issue? Replace the projector bulb and cooling fan, allow the projector to cool for 45 minutes, power cycle the projector, replace the projector lumens booster. What do we think? I think it is the first one. Hopefully you guys agree, but I think that's what it is. So most projectors come with a cooling fan, right? And a lot of times if the cooling fan isn't running, the projector just turn off, right? It'll just turn off because it's overheating, or that's like a fail safe so it doesn't overheat. If it reaches a certain temperature, it'll just automatically turn off. So before we get to these last two questions, make sure that you watch my last video. It'll help you to not only get certified, but to also have the right mindset, or give you the right mindset of what you need to do to break into IT. As I said, we got plenty of students enrolling in the program, but if you over here, at a minimum, you have to like the video. Got to like the video. I'm doing this literally for you guys. I already got A+ and a bunch of other stuff. All right, so Rick is hired to install some cabling in a crawl space. The owner of the building has explicitly stated that all cables must not violate any fire codes. What type of cabling should he use? So since you guys are super smart, you probably picked plenum, right? So plenum rated cables, when they begin to melt, they don't give off any toxic fumes. If a cable isn't plenum rated, when it begins to melt, it'll give off toxic fumes, okay? So you want to make sure that it is plenum rated, that it's plenum rated. All right, Mario's phone will not charge when it connects when he connects his USB charger. Oh, that's what I wanted to say before we finish this up. So we went through a couple questions, and do you see it kind of goes from all over the place? There wasn't really a common theme, right? Only common theme was shit was broke and you have to figure out how to fix it, right? So with this stuff, it's not going to be in order. I keep saying it. So I'm gonna, just to remind you guys that it's not going to be in order, right? So it's going to be a little bit of everything. So the A+, both parts together literally has hundreds of topics that are covered on the exam. So it's going to be, something about networking, something about printers, something about cloud stuff, something about security, something about networking, and it may be 5 questions about 5 different topics, or 90 questions about 90 different topics, right? But if you're in the Zero to IT Hero program, you ain't got to worry about that, because we make sure that you're ready to do what you need to do. All right, so when he uses wireless charging, the phone begins charging. When he uses the USB charger on other devices, they charge just fine. What should be the first thing Mario does to charge his phone with the USB charger? Try another cable, say forget it, and just charge the phone wirelessly. Clean out his phone's charging port. Configure phone for USB fast upload. What's the first thing he should do? What do we think? What's the very first thing he should do? I think he should try to just blow out the charging port, because sometimes stuff gets in there. Let's see what it says. Boom, that's right. So this video was about getting ready for A+. Make sure that you hit the link in the description. Make sure that you like this video. If you're looking for training, you can get inside the training right now. Depending on when this video uploads, I don't want to say a price, because I know we had a price increase on October 1st. But anyway, my goal is to help you guys get certified. I want to get 100 people certified by 2022. So that's it. That's all. I'll see you in class. Hey gang, it's Ron from ITMasterKey.com, and my job is to help each and every one of you guys get certified. So if you've never done a test prep with me, what we do is we go through the questions, go through the answers, and as a family, we actually figure out what the answers actually are. All right. So we're not going to waste no time. When we're straight into it, I'm going to share my screen. You're going to have to forgive me, if I grunt, clear my throat. I'm actually just getting over, sorry, I got some tea. I need it. Just getting over Corona. Luckily, tested negative. Everything is fine now, but for a minute I was struggling. I still got a few things lingering. But anyway, now that you give a damn about that, I'm going to go and get straight into it. So let me share my screen, and then we'll start rocking out. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. Hopefully it looks wonderful. But let's go ahead and get straight into it. Let's not waste any more time. All right, so Janice has been working extremely hard on a project for the last few weeks. She starts to notice that while typing, she has wrist pain. What type of keyboard may relieve the pain she experiences during typing? What do we think? So I would say ergonomic. So ergonomic is a fancy word that just means things that are set up to be comfortable for human beings, you and me, to interact with, okay? All right, you're looking to upgrade your current HDD. You want to improve the speed of your operating system in all applications. What type of drive would be best for you? So I'm going to say an SSD. Hopefully you guys agree. So a solid state drive has no moving parts, and it'll allow you to access your operating system and everything else and the functions inside your operating system very quickly, okay? All right, you are looking to upgrade your current HDD. We just talked about this. Oh, hold on. Oh, you are looking to upgrade your current HDD. You want to improve the speed of your operating system in all applications. What type of drive would be the worst for you? What do we think? What would be the worst? All right, hopefully you guys said PATA. So PATA is an older version of the original version, and that's not going to improve the speed of your operating system and the applications. Okay, CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays should be put into the, come on gang, y'all are super smart. I know y'all know the answer to this. So what do you think? Very good, the optical drive. So gang, this lecture, this get together that we having is free of charge, except you got to like this video and you got to subscribe. That is the entry fee, okay? Real cheap. Next one. You want to play the new Warzone Warriors game on your PC. All the gaming websites are raving about how amazing the graphics are. So which of the following components are most important for the game to function properly? What do we think? So I would say what would be most important for it to function properly. That's one thing that we got to do when we're inside the actual testing center, is that we got to make sure that we pay attention to that. So what would be most important would probably be the video card, because if your video card isn't up to snuff, the monitor isn't going to work. It's probably going to shut down. So I would say your video card. All right. So some people may ask, where the hell are these questions coming from? What is this? Every question that you see on this video is questions that I've made up myself. And these are all part of the additional practice exams that are inside of the 0 to IT Hero bundle that students are enrolling in. You can enroll in right now, depending on when this was recorded. I'm not going to say, how much it costs, but it's affordable. We got students over there getting certified right now. And A+ is a part of the bundle. Anyway, Liam has been studying at the local coffee shop for several hours. He wants to finish one more chapter when his laptop starts to get dim. What's the first thing Liam should do? So what do we think? Now this one is one of those where it could be several different answers, right? A few of these look like it should be right. So what I'm going to say is turn up the brightness settings. Let's see if that's right or if that's wrong. Bam. So the first thing you should do is check the battery status icon, right? Even though I made a lot of these questions, or all of these damn questions, sometimes I even get them wrong, right? And now looking back at it, that makes the most sense. So just make sure that when you're in the box, you don't jump the gun like I just did, and just make sure that the shit that makes sense, right? You just got to make sure that that's what will make the most sense. Instead of just turning up the brightness, look and see if the battery icon is saying, hey man, plug into AC power and stuff like that, okay? All right, all the data stored on RAM modules are considered what? All the data that is stored on your RAM is considered what? I'm gonna try and tough it out, gang, but I don't know how long I'm gonna be with you. But while I'm here, I'm gonna do my best. So all the stuff that's on RAM is considered volatile, right? Volatile just basically means that when the device loses power, when the PC loses power, everything that's stored on RAM is erased, okay? Okay, all the data stored on RAM modules are considered a viable duplex. Is that true or false? True or false? I'm going to say false. So that's not true, obviously, but on the actual exam, just to give you guys a little bit of clarity, there is no true or false questions, right? So this is just something to throw at you, just something, a little bit of a curveball. But on the actual exam, there is nada, zero, no true and false. All right. The central processing unit controls the processing completed within a device. If the CPU has a large amount of processes to complete, it may start to get extremely hot. To avoid damage to the CPU and motherboard, a PC will blank when it overheats. What will it do? What's the safeguard that a PC may have that would ensure that the damn computer doesn't blow up? Hopefully you guys said it would shut down. So that's like a fail-safe for the CPU, so it doesn't overheat, so it doesn't melt, so it doesn't break everything. All right, gang, so we 10 questions in. Make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you subscribe, and make sure that you share it with anybody who may benefit from it. Also, if you're looking for training, head over to itmasterkey.com. 0 to IT Hero bundle is enrolling right now. Okay, what type of flat panel display uses liquid crystals? I can't even talk. One more time. What type of flat panel display uses liquid crystals in its primary form of operation? So, acronyms. If we know what acronyms stand for, that would make this question a lot easier, right? So on the actual exam, there's going to be a lot of acronyms. LCD stands for liquid crystal display. If you didn't know that, that would make this a lot harder, right? Okay. OLED use natural light, so a backlight is unnecessary. Is that true or is that false? So this is talking about displays. Is this true or is this false? Believe it or not, gang, this is absolutely true. And remember, on the actual exam, no true or false, no true or false. OLEDs do not use natural light, so a backlight is necessary. If you get this wrong, shame on you. This would be false, right? So this is kind of like the same question, but just with a little twist on it. So don't go too quick, okay? You are a security analyst for the Lock Corp. You're given a security awareness training for senior partners in the company. One partner asks, what's a best practice when it comes to using webcams? How should you respond? What's a best practice? What's something that everybody should do when they're using a webcam? So I would say the best thing would be to turn off and cover when not in use, because you don't want nobody to hijack it. You don't want, for you to finish a meeting and you start discussing or saying how you really feel about the people in the meeting, and the damn webcam is still on. So you want to make sure that you turn it off and cover it when it's not in use, right? So an inverter relates mostly to the laptop screen. Is that true or is that false? That would be absolutely true, because the inverter is inside of the laptop screen. All right. Malika has a huge presentation that she's been preparing for months. When the time comes for her to present, she notices that what's displayed on her screen isn't being projected. The projector is only displaying a blue screen. She checks all cables to ensure proper connection, restarts her laptop and the projector, and still has the same issue. What should she try next? Gang, make sure you thumbs up this video, subscribe, and share with anybody who can benefit. All right, so most likely she just needs to cycle through the projector modes, right? She probably has it going from the wrong source. That's why it's not actually projecting onto the wall or onto the screen. All right, so the size and the shape of a computer tower is called its, what would be the technical term for the size and the shape? So the technical term for the size and the shape would be the form factor, okay? Thunderbolt is proprietary to what manufacturer? So proprietary basically means that you can only use this software, this hardware with a certain manufacturer. So Thunderbolt is proprietary to what manufacturer? Apple. Very good. Too easy. Perfect. Okay, DDR4 is 4 times faster than DDR. Is that true or is that false? That is true. Too easy. Now, if you get this wrong, just turn your computer off and go take a nap. It's over with. So DDR4 is 4 times slower than DDR. Is that true or is that false? That would be false. All right, what is the equivalent of a Windows administrator account in a Linux machine? So the equivalent of a Windows administrator account in a Linux machine would be a root account. It would be a root account. All right. So we're 21 questions in, and we have 15 minutes. So we're doing pretty good so far. Okay, what is the equivalent of a root account in a Microsoft machine? What do we think? What is the equivalent of a root account in a Microsoft machine? All right, so I think it's an admin account. Hopefully you guys think the same. All right. Each user who wishes to access a Windows computer will need a login ID, referred to as a, don't think too hard on this one. Perfect, a user account. Easy, easy, easy. All right, Ronald uses a computer that has all of the functionality needed to complete all the tasks needed for his job. This type of computer is traditionally known as a what? So I'm going to say a thick client. Hopefully I'm right. All right, so a thick client basically, just like it says, it does whatever you need it to do, it's going to do it. A thin client is a little bit more hyper focused. And I'll be, why can't I talk, man? Am I okay? And then a thin client could just do hyper focused stuff, right? It can only do things like a check-in kiosk, or when you go to a restaurant, they got that little order menu thing. You can do just that stuff. You can't get on the internet. You can't do nothing extra. As opposed to a thick client, you can do literally whatever you need to do. Okay. Okay, so what type of workstation is described below? Configured to support design, engineering, and other design-driven jobs. High CPU, high GPU, and RAM requirements. Has fast storage and retrieval also needed. So SSDs are commonly used. What type of workstation is described below? Out of those options, what do we think would need a good CPU, a great GPU, high RAM requirements, fast storage, and SSDs are commonly used? Most likely, it's going to be a graphic design workstation because that's really intensive on the CPU and the GPU. You want to make sure that you can retrieve stuff really fast. So I'm going to say a graphic design workstation. All right, gang. So we're 25 questions in. If you haven't liked this video, shame on you. Like it right now. Another thing, this and all of the previous videos with test prep is brought to you by the Zero to IT Hero program, which includes 4 of the most coveted certifications in the game. So you get an ITF Plus, A Plus, Net Plus, and Security Plus, as well as additional Microsoft training, as well as a one-on-one accountability coach, as well as the actual vouchers to take the exam. So literally like the name, we take you from zero, from nada, all the way to getting you the certifications that's going to get you in the IT, getting a higher paying job than you have right now. Sound good? Good. Link in the description. What type of workstation is described below? Allows single computer, the host, to run multiple guest OSs or VMs. So I'm running out of tea, which means I'm about to run out of motivation, gang. So, but I'm going to try and rock out with a few more. So I'm going to say that this would be a virtualization workstation. VM stands for virtual machine. Bam, too easy. All right, so what type of workstation is described? A PC used in place of consumer appliances such as a PVR to watch and record TV broadcasts and play movies and music. So we got a bunch of acronyms. So what do we think is the answer? So HTPC, right? HTPC stands for home theater PC. So that's most likely the answer. All right. If you get this wrong, once again, just tap out, man. Go, being a janitor, there's nothing wrong with being a janitor or a damn fry cook, or whatever, checking out groceries. There's no shame in that. But what does HTPC stand for? Very good. Home theater, personal computer. All right, of the following, what most likely would be most important to users of a home server? What out of those would be most important if people are running a home server? All right, so I would say with Netflix, Hulu, and all this other crazy stuff, the most important thing would probably out of those would probably be internet speeds, right? You want to have fast internet speeds so you can stream your favorite shows and stuff and not have no interruptions. Okay, Larry wants to save as much paper as possible. He believes the best way to accomplish this is to print on both sides. He must ensure that the printer blank settings are turned on. Out of those options, what should he pick? Very good. So duplex. So if you have the duplex settings on, it's going to print on both sides, which would not waste a lot of paper. Lena notices black particles all over the printer in her office. She believes the particles are residual toner. What would be the best way for her to clean the particles and get rid of the particles? Let's think about this for a minute. So make sure after you finish this test prep that you run through the A+ playlist. There's literally, I don't know, 100 damn videos about A+ stuff. We got practice tests. And then when you're really ready, to go to the next level, go ahead and head over to itmasterkey.com and get in this program where we're literally certifying people every day. So I would say none of these would be a good idea. So the reason I say that is because the rubbing alcohol is going to smear the black stuff everywhere. A wet wipe is going to smear the black stuff everywhere. Canned air is just going to blow it all over you and all over everywhere else. Okay. So I would say the best thing to probably do would probably get a toner vacuum and suck it up and get it off of the printer. Jen notices black particles. Damn, I gave y'all the answer, but it's okay. Jen notices black particles all over the printer in her office. She believes the particles are residual toner. What would be the best way for her to clean the particles and get rid of all the particles? Gave you the answer. It would be a toner vacuum, which is literally a vacuum specifically for sucking up toner. Lola just finished her report and would like to print it out. She presses print and then goes to the printer to find no print jobs. She repeats this process and nothing prints out. She checks all cables, toner levels, and paper trays. What's the next thing she should do? What's the very next thing she should do? So I would say, since she did all that other stuff, to make sure she's actually printing to the right printer. I think that's what the next thing she should do. All right, gang. So after this video, make sure that you look in the description below for our A+ playlist. We got a bunch of these kind of videos to help you guys get certified. If you are looking for training that is actually getting people a bunch of certifications, got one-on-one mentoring, got the vouchers for the exam, got everything that you need to do what you need to do, link in the description. Other than that, I'm going to see you in class. Hopefully you enjoyed this. Have a good day. Hey gang, this is Rob from itmasterkey.com, and in this video, we'll get you better prepared for the A+ exam. Okay, gang, if you're not aware, the A+ exam is what you've been waiting for. It's what you've been trying to get. That's why you're here watching this video. We actually been dropping videos for the last couple of weeks trying to get you prepared for the A+, and this video is going to be no different. If it's your first time seeing me, if you never rocked out with me before, I'm Rob, the founder of itmasterkey.com and the creator of the Zero to IT Hero course. So we're going to get straight into it. We're going to go through these questions as a family, and figure out what the answers are to get you better acclimated to taking the actual exam. So let me bring it up right quick and we'll get straight into it. All right, so here's the first question. Jasmine is asked to install Microsoft Office directly onto Aaron's computing device. Jasmine notifies Aaron that Office cannot be installed directly on that device. Which of the following device types does the customer most likely have? A Mac, a thick client, a thin client, or a phablet? Which one do we think? Before we answer this question, make sure that you like this video and subscribe and share it with anybody who can benefit from it. So most likely, the type of device is going to be a thin client. So a thin client is made for a specific purpose, whether it be transactions or just waiting around or reservations. But a lot of times it can't actually hold an entire operating system, or it may have a minimized operating system to only do one or two functions, right? All right, so Roberto is installing Hyper-V and is getting an error that the software is not able to be installed. What should be checked? Should we check the cache size? Should we check virtualization support? Should we check number of cores? Or should we check hyper-threading? So gang, Hyper-V is a type of virtualization software. So we should make sure that our system or device is set up and has virtualization support. That's what we should check. All right, which of the following must be configured when trying to boot a machine from a CD? Is it the TPM? Is it virtualization support? Is it biosecurity? Or is it the boot order? So by default, your device should boot from the hard drive. It should try and find the operating system on the hard drive. So to change that default setting to boot from a CD, you have to change the boot order. All right. So to make the machine boot from the CD, you have to change the boot order. All right, which of the following devices are primarily intended to provide 24/7 diagnostic and biometric data regarding the user? Is it a fitness monitor? Is it an e-reader? Is it a smartwatch? Is it a smartphone? Now, this is one of the tricky ones where you can kind of be like, okay, it could be multiple answers. I think it's this, I think it's that. You're probably wrestling with a couple answers right now. But one of the key things that you need to do when you're in the exam and when you're taking these exams is make sure that you look at the keyword. So the keyword would be primarily. Which one of these things are primarily intended to provide diagnostic and biometric data regarding the user? That would be a fitness monitor. So a smartwatch and a smartphone can do those things, but that's not the primary function of those devices. So a laptop login screen can barely be seen despite adjusting the display's brightness setting. Which of the following display components may be defective? Is it the backlight? Is it the digitizer? Is it the inverter? Or is it the polarizer? What do we think? Make sure that you like this video and subscribe. Like this video and subscribe. So let's go with backlight. All right, so the backlight may be going bad. It may be defective because you can kind of see the screen, but you can't. Now, if this is real world troubleshooting, instead of messing with the backlight, the first thing we would do is just to make sure that the brightness wasn't turned all the way down, or that the battery wasn't dead or dying and stuff like that. Make sure it's charged, because a lot of times to save battery, laptops will go dim to save you some battery life, right? Danielle reports that her company laptop cannot pick up a wireless connection. However, users working on their laptop in the common areas have internet connectivity. Which of the following is most likely the cause? Is it weak RF signals, out of date Ethernet drivers, enabled MAC filtering, or duplicate IP addresses? What do you think? What is most likely the cause? I'm going to go with weak RF signals. Let's see if that's right. All right, so routers, Wi-Fi signals, hotspots, access points, those types of things depend on the proximity that you are to the actual access point or to the router. So the farther you get away, the weaker the signal is going to be, and it may be so weak where you actually can't even connect, right? So in the common areas, that's probably where the router is actually placed, and that's where most people are, right? Because they kind of know, hey, in the center, that's where the router is, where the access point is, and the closer I get to it, the better signal that I'll get. Which of the following is required doing the installation of a digitizer? Must be connected to the internet, must be cleaned, must have the latest software installed, must be calibrated. Which one of those things do we think should be a requirement when we mess around with the digitizer? All right, so I think it is the digitizer needs to be calibrated, right? It has to be calibrated, because if it's not calibrated, the digitizer is what actually allows you to put your finger on something, and the device actually feels your fingerprint or your finger moving around. And the digitizer, if it's not calibrated right, it may not feel your finger. It may be too sensitive or not sensitive enough. Makes sense? All right, again, we're a few questions in. Make sure that you like this video and subscribe, share it with anybody that can benefit from this stuff, right? Another thing, a question that may come up is, where did I get these questions from? What are these questions? So these questions are questions that I made up. These are questions that students in the Zero to IT Hero program rock through. And these are actually the sampler questions. We actually have some more in-depth questions in the actual course to get them better prepared for the exams, right? So they rock through all of the training inside of the program, and they go through a 90-question exam, and then they knock it out. But this stuff right here, this is just supplemental. Is this enough to pass the exam? No, ma'am, and no, sir. You'll need a full course, which you can get at itmasterkey.com. So Albert just installed a new Soho router. Whenever a new user comes online and begins streaming media, browsing slows down for the other users. Which of the following settings can Albert adjust so the experience is universal for all servers, or excuse me, all users? Is it DSL? Is it QoS? Is it VNC? Or is it WAN? So something I always harp on is making sure that you know what acronyms stand for, right? So there's going to be a lot of acronyms on the actual test, a lot of acronyms. And if you don't know what those acronyms stand for, it's going to make the test a lot easier or a lot harder, right? So if you don't know what they stand for, the test is going to be pretty difficult. If you do know what they stand for, a lot of times the answer will jump out at you, right? So the answer to this would be QoS, or quality of service. All right, for which of the following types of printers should a technician obtain a maintenance kit containing a fuser, transfer roller, and pickup rollers? Would it be a thermal printer? Would it be an impact printer? Would it be an inkjet printer or a laser printer? So I'm going to go with a laser printer. You would need all that stuff. Bam. Very good. All right, so which of the following contains potentially dangerous voltages and should be handled with care, even if the power has been recently disconnected? Is that a laser printer? Is that a wireless router? Is that a paper shredder? Or is it a CRT monitor? So CRT monitors, like the old school monitors, actually store a lot of energy and store a lot of charge even when they're disconnected from power. So you will want to be careful when you're handling a CRT old school monitor. All right, the HR department needs to connect directly to a printer with continuous access. Which of the following connection types will achieve this? Would it be serial? Would it be Ethernet? Would it be USB? Or would it be eSATA? So connect directly to a printer with continuous access. The only option on here that would allow the entire HR department to connect directly to the printer would be Ethernet or Ethernet. All right, Erica notices fine particles on printouts and in the printer itself. Which of the following tools is recommended to fix this issue? Will we use alcohol? Will we use a toner vacuum? Will we use compressed air? Or will we use a moist towel? Which one will we use? So the easiest thing, the best thing to do would be to use an actual toner vacuum to pick that stuff up. Compressed air will blow it everywhere. The alcohol or the moist towel would just rub black stuff all over the computer, which is what we don't want. All right, Jim set up his network a week ago. While walking his dog one day, he notices that he still has connectivity to his network, even if he's across the street from his house. How can Jim increase the security of his home network? Should he reduce the range of his network, hide SSID, and use WPA2 encryption? Should he increase the range of the network, hide SSID, and use WPA2? Should he disable MAC filtering, power cycle, and lock all devices? Or should he point Wi-Fi direction towards his backyard? If you're enjoying this so far, like the video for the YouTube algorithm, and then drop a comment in the below to let me know that you're liking the video. Also, if you are interested in training, make sure that you go over to itmasterkey.com and enroll into the Zero to IT Hero Bundle. It is in the comment section below. We got people getting certified every day. So if you head over there, you'll get training for 7 certifications to include A+, Net Plus, Security Plus, and some Microsoft training. And you'll get the skill set, you'll get the knowledge, and you'll actually get the certification to go ahead and break into IT, make more money, and just have a more satisfying job and actually secure your future, so you're not a victim of technology such as automation, and you're actually a victor of technology because you'll be on the right side. Anyway, going back to this, the way to fix this guy's issue would be to reduce the range, hide the SSID, which is the network name, and you would use the most highest level of encryption, which would be WPA2 as of right now. All right, so Lorraine is building an HTPC for a new customer. What parts list would she most likely use? It's another one of those things where if you don't know what the acronym stands for, it's going to make the question a lot harder than it needs to be. So out of those options, what do you think the answer would be? So HTPC stands for home theater PC, right? Home theater PC. So for a home theater PC, out of all these, which would be most important, right? I think it would be this one, because you're going to be really interested in the internet connection, right? You're going to be interested in internet connection because if it's a home theater PC, you're probably going to be streaming a lot of different stuff. So you want to make sure you got enough RAM, but mostly you got good sound and a high-speed internet connection. Okay. All right, FTP uses both ports 20 and 21. Is that true or false? The file transfer protocol uses both of those ports. Is that true or is that false? Hey gang, make sure that you like this video, subscribe and share, and also you can enroll inside of a program over at itmasterkey.com. So that is true. It uses both 20 and 21, right? And one caveat, on the actual exam, you won't have any true or false or no, yes or no questions. None of those types of questions on the actual exam. Does LDAP use port 389? Is that true or false? Does LDAP use port 389? True or false? So LDAP uses port 389, the lightweight directory access protocol. So I just wanted to show this to you because, like I said, on the actual, just to make sure you guys paying attention, on the actual exam, no true or false questions. You won't see any questions like this. But LDAP uses port 389. Another thing I want to point out is at the bottom of this, it says, do you need a voucher? Vouchers are not available. Discounted vouchers are not available to students who are not enrolled in training. So if you want a discounted voucher, you can head over to the link in the description below to enroll inside the Zero to IT Hero program. All right, so computers should be plugged into an UPS or UPS while flashing the BIOS. Is that true or is that false? That's another acronym. So if you didn't know what it stood for, it may make things a little bit more difficult. I'm gonna say that this is true. All right, so true. A computer should be plugged into an uninterruptible power supply. All right, so pretty much like a power backup while you're flashing the BIOS. If a user's wireless connection suddenly stops on a laptop computer, you should check the wireless access point first. Is that true or is that false? Is that true or is that false? That is true. No, it's not. That is false. So that's not the first thing you should check. The first thing you should check is the actual connection on your computer, right? And a lot of times you may not even know where the access point is, especially if you're using Wi-Fi or if you're at somebody else's house, you may not know where the access point is. So the first thing to check is always your device to make sure that you got the settings and everything set up on that device correctly. An ESD wrist strap should be connected to a technician's wrist and an electrical ground. Is that true or is that false? That's definitely true. So ESD is electrostatic discharge. You never want to have static electricity and be touching any of your devices because it can make them stop working. All right, gang. So this was another A+ practice test. This was another helpful guide for you guys. Make sure that you like the video. Make sure you subscribe. And other than that, I'll see you in class. Hey gang, this is Rob from itmasterkey.com. And in this video, we're going to talk about passing the A+. All right, gang, if you've never seen me before, my job is to help you guys get certified. So the A+ exam is a two-part exam, right? So you have to pass both parts of A+ to be A+ certified. So both exams are 90 questions and you got 90 minutes to knock out those questions. So the questions are going to be on a myriad of topics, right? So the topics can go from cloud computing to security to networking to just a little bit of everything. I tell all my students that are in the Zero to Hero program that the A+ is pretty much like your high school diploma when it comes to actually getting into IT. So it's a little bit of everything, right? So in this lecture, if you've never rocked out with me before, if you've never been here before, what we do is I'm going to go through some questions. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to answer it for yourself. And then as a family, we're going to talk about it, right? So the main purpose of this is to get you in the right mind frame, to get you in the right way of thinking. So when you get inside the box, when you take the test at home, you actually know exactly how to decipher the information. You know what they're asking, you know what they want, and then you can go ahead and knock out the exam. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So give me 1 second to set this up. Let's see what would be the best way to look at this. Make it full screen. All right, so it's going to be our first question. Like I said, I'm going to read the question, give you guys a couple seconds to think about what you think the answer is, and then we'll go through it as a family and figure it out. Okay. All right. So select the best IDE configuration that will allow for redundancy of data and the best performance possible. Use the least amount of disks possible. So what do we think the answer is? Do we think it's one SATA with 10,000 RPM, 500 gigabyte drive, two SATA with 10,000 RPM, 500 gigabit drives? Or do we think it's three PATA, 7,200 RPM, 500 gigabit drives? Or do we think it's two PATA, 7,200 RPM, 500 gigabit drives? Give you guys some time to think about it. So when we actually end the actual exam, right, when we take the exam, make sure that you pay attention to these types of things. The least amount of drives, the best performance, the most expensive, the least expensive. Make sure that you pay attention to those things on the actual exam. So the answer to this, I think, would be actually getting two PATA drives, two PATA drives. Now, why do we think would it be getting two PATA drives? Two PATA drives, right? The reason it would be two PATA drives is because it asks for the best IDE configuration, right? IDE is synonymous with PATA drives, and also asks for redundancy. So redundancy always means more than one, right? So redundancy over and over and over again. So the answer to this would be two PATA drives. As for redundancy, two drives. As for IDE configuration, so that would be PATA. Okay, let's go to the next one. Another thing, if you're liking the video, if you're liking what's going on, make sure that you give me a thumbs up and you subscribe. If you're looking for training, head over to itmasterkey.com. All right, so next one. You suspect that a computer is not getting the correct voltage. What tool would allow you to test this theory? Do we think it's a postcard? Do we think it's a loopback socket? Do we think it's a multimeter? Or would it be a toner probe? Very good. This should be too easy for you guys since you guys are super smart. It should be a multimeter. So a multimeter will allow you to check for voltage. It'll allow you to check for resistance. It'll allow you to check for the things that are asked in that question. Now, gang, well, we've been on here for a couple of minutes. Just remember, when you're actually inside the box, you're gonna have a maximum of 90 questions, and you're gonna have 90 minutes. So you got to make sure that you are able to decipher the information as fast as possible, and then go ahead and move forward. All right, so which of the following expansion ports are specific to Apple computers? Would it be HDMI 2.0? Would it be Light? Would it be USB 3.0? Or would it be Thunderbolt? So you guys should have came up with Thunderbolt. So Thunderbolt is proprietary to Apple computers and Apple products. So proprietary is just a big ass word that means that you can only use this stuff specifically with this manufacturer. All right. So proprietary is a fancy word that just means we can only use this stuff with this manufacturer. Okay. All right. So you're in the network and you need to narrow down where the traffic is stopping. What command would be used to determine this? What command will we use to figure out where the traffic is stopping on a network? Will we use ipconfig/reset? Will we use flush DNS? Will we use tracert? Or will we use ipconfig? Which one of those will we use? All right, so you guys should have chose tracert, right? Tracert is a command which is short for trace route. So it literally traces the route that traffic goes. So when you send a packet, when you send an email, when you send stuff across the network, trace route traces the route that the actual traffic goes on the network, okay? All right, next up, when using your laptop, the cursor jumps around when typing in documents on a new laptop. What's the most likely cause? So this is our fifth question, and I didn't want to completely crush you guys, so we kind of starting off, with baby steps, because when you actually get into the exam, some of the questions, and in later videos we'll get into that. Some of the questions are going to be way longer than this. Some of the questions are going to be so damn long that by the time you get to the end of the question, you forgot what the hell they was talking about, right? So when you actually look at the question, one of the biggest things that should pop out, cursor jumps around, most likely cause. All right, what are the most likely cause? Is it the touchpad? Is it screen orientation? Is it incompatible software? Or is it unsigned hardware? What do we think? All right, so hopefully you guys chose that it was the touchpad, right? So on laptops that still have touchpads, if the sensitivity on the touchpad is too much, while you're typing, your wrists or your forearms may be rubbing up against the touchpad, and it'll make the cursor act crazy. All right, a technician has set up IP cameras. To access them remotely, what must be configured? What must be configured to set up IP cameras? Do we think it's a VPN IP? Do we think it's QoS? Do we think it's a static DHCP? Do we think it's port forwarding? What do we think? You want to access them remotely. What would you set up? All right, to access cameras remotely, you would need to set up port forwarding. Port forwarding is what you would need to set up, right? So you want to make sure that you have access, and without having certain ports forwarded, certain traffic being forwarded purposely to that port, it would be hard to access and to configure those cameras remotely. One of the questions may be, where the hell are these questions coming from? What are these questions? So these are some of the older questions that were part of the Zero to IT Hero program, right? So just showing you guys some love, showing you guys just how to break those things down. And I'm hoping to get a lot of videos out of this, and just to show you that the students that go through the Zero to IT program, on average, they actually finish these questions that we've set up. We got a bunch of practice tests. They actually finish this in like 45 minutes, right? Because like I said, we've trained them to hone in, and they actually know exactly what to look for, and they actually have got the skill set that they need to knock this test out. But anyway, a technician is trying to print a document in color, but it will not print in color. What should the technician check first? What's the first thing that guy or girl should check? All right, so they reset the IP? Should they change the toner cartridge? Should they look at the grayscale settings, or should they reinstall the printer driver? What's the first thing they should check? All right, so as you can see, we went over some networking stuff, some hardware stuff, some printer stuff. This is how the A+ is set up. It's literally a little bit of everything. You'll be a jack of all trades. And well, actually, I may actually make some ITF Plus study material as well, because we got that's part of the Zero to Hero bundle as well. The ITF training, right? So ITF Plus is IT fundamentals, and the ITF Plus actually makes the A+ a lot easier, because like I said, some people may think that A+ is easy or it's going to be no big deal. Okay, just remember, it's a 2-part test and it's everything. It's so much stuff on the A+. So anyway, so grayscale settings, right? Grayscale settings are basically black and white. Even if you have a color print card, even if you have a color print cartridge in there, even if you got everything else set up right, if you have grayscale settings marked to be on or checked to be on, it's going to print out black and white no matter what. All right, a technician needs to run a Cat6 cable to a workstation. What should he use to terminate the cable? Now, terminate is a word that we may not be familiar with, so that may make this a little bit more difficult. But do we think it should be BNC, RJ11, RJ45, or a F connector? Which one do we think it should be? Now, terminate simply means that what's the cap or what's the connector that I'm gonna put on the end of this cable so it can connect to devices, right? So the Cat6 is going to use a RJ register jack 45, okay? RJ 45, okay? So we 9 questions in. 9 questions in, gang. So what is the laser printer process? What is the laser printer process? So I'm gonna let you read all these words. And as you can see, each one of these looks similar, right? Each one of these looks right. Each one of these look like it could be the answer. So make sure that you don't jump the gun when you're actually inside of the exam. Make sure you don't jump the gun when you're actually inside the exam and say, oh, I know what the answer is. Make sure you read the entire question and figure it out. So which one do we think it is? Which do we think it is? Okay, a couple of them says processing, charging. So which one do we think it is? Which one could it be? So do we think it's processing, charging, and exposing? Let's check it. We got it right. So processing, charging, exposing, developing, transferring, fusing, and cleaning. So the laser printer process, first thing is always going to be processing. Last thing is always going to be cleaning. So some people may try and, do a little bit of a cheat code, and they see processing at the beginning, and they see cleaning at the end. Oh, that's the right answer. No, make sure that the stuff in the middle or in between it is the right answer. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Laser printers can print 2-sided output as long as they have a what? As long as they have a what? They can print both sides. So is it a transfer belt? Is it a fuser assembly? Is it a spooler? Is it spooler software, or is it duplexing assembly? So long story, gang, or long story super short, it's duplexing, right? So if you have duplexing assembly and duplexing software, you have the ability for the printer to print on the front, then run it back in there and print it on the back, right? So a lot of companies, a lot of organizations, that they want to save money, they want to waste a lot of paper, they'll have you print on both sides as opposed to just print on the front. All right, so you turn off your computer every night, and when you wake up in the morning, you have to change the time to the current date and time. What's the issue? Do we think that it's the CPU's internal clock speed has been throttled down, causing time difference. The CMOS battery is going bad or needs to be reseated. The CPU charger is going bad or needs to be reseated. The PC needs to be wiped. So one of the major purposes and major jobs of the CMOS battery is literally just to keep the time and date correct when the computer is off, right? So it's a small little battery. It looks like a big watch battery, actually. Excuse me. And the CMOS battery's main purpose is to make sure that the time and date is correct. If the CMOS battery is losing juice or it's not seated properly, that's one of the telltale signs is that the clock will be messed up. The clock won't have the right time. Okay, so wearable fitness tracking devices use which of the following technologies to determine user activity levels? Is it an accelerometer? Is it landscape? Is it vector? Or is it alignment? So believe it or not, Fitbits, Apple Watches, those types of things use something called an accelerometer to gauge your activity level and your movement. All right, so Jim is hardware troubleshooting at a customer's home. What's one tool he cannot be without? Now think about this, but don't think too hard about this. Do we need a damn slingshot? Do we need wire cutters? Do we need crimpers? Or would he need a screwdriver when he's hardware troubleshooting? Make sure that you thumbs up the video. Make sure you subscribe and make sure that you share this with anybody who can benefit from it. So if you hardware troubleshooting, man, the one thing you cannot be without is a screwdriver. You know, small little screws, whether it's a laptop, whether it's a cell phone, whether most devices you're gonna need some kind of screwdriver kit to open it up. Okay. All right. What device sends data to all devices, no matter the intended destination? Would it be a hub? Would it be a switch? Would it be a router? Or would it be a VPN? Which of those devices sends it to everybody? Don't care. It sends it to everybody, no matter your intended destination, no matter where you want to send it to, it's going to send it to everybody that's connected to it. So a hub will be known as a dumb device because it will send it to everybody that's connected to it. Okay. Once again, if you liking this, if you appreciate it, like, subscribe, drop a comment below. Liking the video helps to add. Liking the video helps the YouTube algorithm, right, to show me some love. And if you're liking, if you comment, it says, "Oh, okay, people must like this," and it'll pump up the video so more people can see it and get help by it, right? You need to connect a PoE phone to a switch that is 52 meters away. Which cable will be best suited for this? So another thing, I don't think we ran across any acronyms yet. On the actual exam, there's a bunch of acronyms. And if you don't know what the acronyms are, it's going to hurt you pretty bad. That's why once we rock through all the training, we put emphasis on that in the Zero to IT Hero program. And we actually have, a full list of all the acronyms that you need to know and what you need to study. So when you get inside the testing center or when you take the exam at the house, you'll be able to be proficient, right? So PoE stands for Power over Ethernet. Which K will be best suited for that? The cable that will be best suited for that should be Cat 6 or Category 6, okay? Which printer setting below would waste the least amount of paper? All right, so this is a good example of if a question comes up and you have no idea what the hell it's talking about. A lot of times when you get further into the actual exam, something's going to pop up that's probably going to be related to it and it'll make a previous question make more sense. So if something comes up and you have no idea what the hell it's talking about, just skip it, go to the next question. So earlier we talked about what the duplexing assembly does. Remember? So The duplex would allow you to waste the least amount of paper, right? Duplex would allow you to waste the least amount of paper. So make sure you like this video. Like I said, like. That's your fee for entry for watching this video is to like. It's to like this video. So the YouTube algorithm shows me love. All right. Anyway, which of the following is the least likely to be intercepted through the air? So let's take the out of there. Which of the following is least likely to be intercepted through the air? Which one is the least likely? Would it be NFC? Would it be cellular? Would it be EMI? Would it be Wi-Fi? What do we think? So once again, acronyms. It says the least likely to be intercepted through the air. It would be NFC, only because of the proximity, right? To transmit data, you have to be super close to the device. If you're trying to intercept something through NFC, you have to be really, really close to that actual device to intercept the traffic or whatever it's trying to send, okay? So during a brownout, a workstation, during a brownout, you are fixing a workstation. The workstation has a power on light, but nothing is displayed on the screen. The PC doesn't make sounds while the PC boots up either. Which tool below will assist you to troubleshoot further? Would it be a loop back plug? Will it be a multimeter? Would it be a postcard? Would it be a toner probe? What do we think? So it got a power on light and it's not beeping, it's not making no sounds, not doing anything, right? So depending on different manufacturers, the actual device, PC, laptop may make different beeps, right? And a lot of times those different beeps may indicate if everything's okay, or it may indicate that there's a problem, okay? So you can use something called a postcard, which will actually indicate if there are any issues with the actual device, right? It'll indicate if there's any issues with the device while it's starting up, okay? And it's not it's a device. It's not actual like a postcard that you get from the post office. It's an actual device, okay? Okay, so down here this says need an exam voucher. So previously we used to actually give people exam vouchers, right? We used to, if you weren't in the training, we used to offer discounted exam vouchers. Good news is you can still get the discounted exam vouchers. You just have to be part of our training program, right? Because we want to make sure that you guys are as successful as possible. So if you want a discounted voucher and training that can actually get you certified, head over to itmasterkey.com. So what display provides the best range of visible colors? Visible colors. Which one of those provides the best range of visible colors? Do we think it's OLED, LED, CRT, or plasma? LED, no. OLED. So the reason I clicked on that, just so you can see, I don't know why I did that. Anyway, LED and OLED. That's why I clicked on LED and OLED. All right. So LED and OLED. OLED is organic LED. So the difference between LED and OLED, it uses natural light. So LED doesn't use natural light. OLED does use natural light. Okay. All right. So Mandy is about to replace her laptop screen. What is the first step she should take? What's the first step she should take? What's the first thing that Mandy should do? Should she arrange parts? Should she unscrew laptop screws? Should she read manufacturer documentation? Should she replace the RAM? What's the first thing that Mandy should do? What's the first thing that she should do? All right, so my recommendation CompTIA's recommendation is that you read the manufacturer's documentation just so you don't mess up anything, just so you don't void any warranties, because you may be super duper cool, but you may not know that on most laptops, most manufacturers, if you replace the keyboard, if you replace the screen, that actually voids the manufacturer warranty. So if you mess something up and you try and take it back, they'll know, because it's either a sticker or some clamps that break away, or if you remove it, they'll be able to know that you actually was inside of the device, and it voids a warranty because they don't know what you actually did, right? You know what's crazy? Okay, I was about to say, I was like, damn, I damn sure hope I wouldn't this whole time, not the microphone wouldn't know. All right, so good. What's the technical term for the range of IPs that can be assigned in a given network? What's the technical term for that? So you can't just, assign IP addresses willy-nilly, because you might come up with duplicate IPs. You may, duplicate IPs, or you may assign, the wrong IP range to one device, or one set of devices that was supposed to go to another device, so on and so forth. So the technical term for that range of IPs is the scope, right? That is the scope. All right, Jim has 1,000 devices in his network. He wants the quickest way to assign IPs to these devices. What should Jim do? Should he configure access points? Should he implement JBOD? Should he statically assign them, or should he enable DHCP? All right, so Jim wants to do this stuff super fast. So he should enable DHCP. All right, he should enable DHCP. So DHCP is Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. And long story short, it automatically assigns IP addresses to devices once they become a part of your network. Now, if you statically assign them, statically just means that you manually assign them, right? Instead of automating things, you actually statically assign, instead of automating things, you would statically or manually assign them, right? So since he wants to do it the quickest way, he would enable DHCP. All right, so Sherry is using multi-mode fiber cables. Her main concern is how far the data can travel. Is she using the best cable for the job? Yes or no? What do we think? I'm going to say no. What you guys think? Let's see. All right, so no. So you got single mode, multi-mode. So multi-mode is better for speed, right? Most times multi-mode is better for speed, when single mode is better for distance, okay? How long? Okay, we're almost 30 minutes in. All right, so Lenny has a RAID 0 array. He comes to work and notices one of his drives has failed. What has happened to the information on the drive that did not fail? It's fine, gone, corrupted, erased, priority bit is available, or it copied. So gang, just want to give you a caveat to this. So this is to help you. This is to give you a little bit of boost of confidence. This is to kind of go through things with you, but this is not enough to pass the exam, right? Going through this is not enough to pass the exam. If you're looking for training, as I said and state all the time, you can head over to itmasterkey.com and enroll into the Zero to IT Hero program, where most students are getting A+ certified in 30 days. So RAID, right? So RAID deals with redundancy. We said redundancy is often more than one. The only crazy thing is RAID 0 doesn't offer any redundancy, right? So unfortunately, the stuff that was on his drive would have been erased. RAID 0 has different levels. RAID in general has different levels, and RAID 0 doesn't offer any redundancy. A PIPA IP addresses can be routed across the internet. So this is something different that I just threw in here, just not to confuse you, not to throw you off. There are no yes or no, and there are no true or false questions on the actual exam. Well, let's see how you guys do. PIPA IP addresses can be routed across the internet. Is that true or false? That is false. All right. So a PIPA address is a private IP address, right? So if you're on the internet, you got a public address. When you're on your local internet, you have a private IP address. Okay, gang, we're going to stop it right here. There's future videos on the way. I want to make sure that you watch my last video just to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, staying motivated, and doing what you need to do to land a job and to get certified. You can click the link in the description to join the Zero to IT Hero program. We're enrolling right now. There's actually been a flood of you guys coming through, trying to change your life, trying to get into IT, and I'm glad that you guys have decided to do so because 2021 and 2022, the outlook for people who don't have skill set, the outlook for people who have jobs that are labor intensive, that are repetitive, that literally they can fire you and replace you the next day with anybody. The outlook isn't good, right? So like I always tell you guys, my job is to help you get certified, help you to get in the IT, and the quickest way for you to do that is to enroll into the Zero to IT Hero bundle. Other than that, I'll see you guys in class. Hey gang, it's Ron from ITMasterKey.com, and my job is to help you guys get certified. All right, gang, in this video, we're going to talk about A+. If you've never taken A+ before, the A+ is a two-part exam, right? So you got to pass both parts of the exam to actually get A+ certified. So we got 90 minutes and 90 questions for each exam. If you pass each exam, you will be A+ certified. So A+ is an entry-level certification. It's usually one of the first certifications that people get, and it's usually one of the first certifications that students in the Zero to IT Hero bundle get. They either start there or they start with ITF Plus, depending on the direction. So let's talk about the actual questions, right? So we're gonna go through some questions, break it down as a family, and then let you guys go ahead and be on your merry way. I would appreciate it if you guys would thumbs up the video, subscribe, and share with anybody who can benefit from this type of stuff, okay? So let me share my screen, and then we're gonna start rocking out. All right, so you guys should be able to see this. So how we're gonna do it is the questions are gonna be up on the screen, and then we're going to read the question, look at the answers, and figure out what the answer is. So just remember, when you're actually inside the box, you want to be able to decipher this information as quickly as possible. Just really quick, let me make sure. Yeah, we good. Okay, I just want to make sure that my microphone was on, because that shit would have been a tragedy. So first question. Lenny is prepared to install a 3.5-inch hard disk drive into his laptop. Once the installation begins, the hard drive doesn't seem to fit. What most likely is the issue? What do we think? Do we think laptops usually require 2.5-inch? He has to reboot the system. He must install the RAM before the hard drive, or he needs to reformat the drive. Give you guys a couple seconds to figure out what you think it is. So usually laptops have a 2.5-inch drive, all right, 2.5-inch drive. All right, so M2 solid state drives are much faster than traditional hard drives. Is that true, false? What do we think? So while we're rocking through this is the only question type that you won't see on the actual exam, right? So true and false, yes and no, those types of questions are not on the actual exam. The air conditioner just tapped on. If that's making it too loud, this is a free video. I'm sorry that the production isn't up to your standards, but this is real life over here. So what do you think? Do you think this is true or false? That is true. So what makes these things a lot faster is that it actually connects directly into the motherboard, right? So to reduce latency, a M2 solid state drive connects directly to the motherboard. So at the bottom of the screen, it says need an exam voucher. That is no longer available to people who aren't in our training. So if you're in the Zero to IT Hero program, you got this discounted vouchers for all your training. If not, you got to pay full price somewhere else. All right, let's go to the next question. OLEDs need backlights to operate efficiently. Do we think that's true, or do we think that's false? Do we think that's true, or do we think that's false? So, OLEDs do not need backlights. They do not need backlights. So OLEDs, the O stands for organic, which means that it's using natural light, okay? All right, Jenny just replaced her cracked laptop screen. She powers the laptop up and everything seems to work fine until she tries to surf the web. She notices she is no longer connected to the wireless router. What most likely has occurred? Has power been lost? The form factor of the router is incorrect. The Wi-Fi antenna has been disconnected or damaged. Jenny needs to restart her laptop. What do we think? What most likely has occurred? So we said that she just replaced her laptop screen, right? Now on laptops, most times the Wi-Fi antenna is located close to the camera, right? And the camera is usually at the top of the laptop, right? So it's when you first open up the laptop. So it's at the top of the laptop. The reason for that is to improve connections, right? So to improve connections, and so the broadcast will be higher. So they put the antenna at the highest point, right? It's usually on the bezel of the actual laptop. And a lot of times, if you're not being careful, if you replace the laptop screen, you may disconnect or damage the Wi-Fi antenna. All right, so most likely that's what happened. Then, as I always say, make sure that you're paying attention to that kind of stuff. What happened most likely? What's the first thing to do? What's the last thing to do? Another thing, I always have to preface this. This is not on this free YouTube channel. This is not the actual questions to the test, right? The question on the test most likely will be more difficult. I threw a couple questions in here that would be a little bit more towards the questions that would be on the actual exam. This is just to get you in the right mind frame. Now, my students that rock through the Zero to IT Hero program get thousands, literally, of practice test questions after running through hours of IT training, and then go ahead and pass the exam. So let's go ahead and go to the next question. Little Millie is trying to pair his device with a fellow artist so they can swap songs. Both singers' Bluetooth is turned on, but they're unable to find each other's devices. What's the next thing they should try? Should they enter a pin that was set up on the device, tether the phones to each other, restart both phones, ensure both phones can be discovered? So what do you think it is? So should it be, so this is one that looked like it could be more than one, right? But it's not. It's got to be one answer. So let's see if it's ensure both phones can be discovered. All right, so the next thing, right? That was the biggest thing, because some people may have been thinking enter a pin that was set up on a device. Now you got to make sure they're both discovered, because even if you set up a pin, if they're not in discovery mode or discoverable mode, it doesn't matter because they're not going to see each other. Okay. All right. Chelsea needs to set up her email on a new device. She wants to ensure that emails are stored on her device and her device only. Which option should she choose? What do we think? What do we think? So let's say that we was running through this really fast. Let's say that we was actually inside the box and we just start clicking stuff. Is it IMAP? Is it POP3? Is it, what is it? It's POP3. All right, POP3. POP3 is port 110. That's what those numbers are next to the actual answers. So POP3 is port 110, while IMAP is port 143. So she wants to make sure the emails are stored on her device, and that's it. All right, so other protocols are stored on the device as well as on a server. Okay, so that would be the only difference. So the only reason I did that like that to make it incorrect is because if you jump in too fast, right? If you don't read all the answers, if you don't read all of the question, a lot of times you can jump too quickly and actually end up making a mistake and getting something wrong. And just remember, every point count, every question counts on the exam. So just slow your ass down. So Marcus is walking in the park and stops to use his laptop. He wants to catch up on some work that needs to be completed quickly. To complete the work, he will need an internet connection. How can he complete his work using one of the following options? I'll let you guys read those answers and then whisper amongst yourselves what you think the answer is. All right, should he tether his cell phone to his laptop, turn on Wi-Fi and click favorite browser? He will have to wait until he can find an internet cafe, log into his laptop's IP settings and choose admin mode. Now, the quickest way would just be to use his cell phone's internet connection, and that will be called tethering, right? So tethering allows you to use your mobile data as data for whatever you want to use it for, right? Now, most cell phone plans are unlimited, but if you aren't on an unlimited plan, you want to make sure that you're careful with this, because if you only have a certain amount of gigs that you can use every month and then you get charged more, you might want to watch out for this. And even with unlimited, a lot of the unlimited plans, if you go too crazy, they'll actually start throttling your data, right? So maybe it's supposed to be 5G, and then if you start going too crazy on that, they'll knock you down to 4G. And if you really go crazy on that, they'll knock you down to 3G, okay? All right, Jamal wants to purchase several donuts using Apple Pay. So he waves his phone over a scanner and the payment is successful. Another customer sees and asks, how can their phone do that? How should he respond? Should he tell the customer, hey man, mind your damn business? Should he tell them to turn on their Wi-Fi and scan phone? Should he use NFC? Should he say use NFC to make payments via proximity? Or should he tell customer to use IR technology? So another question that may come up is, hey man, where you getting these questions from? All these questions were made by me. So I think I know what the answers are. If you disagree with my answers, good for you. I'm proud of you. You know more than I do. All right, so he should tell the guy behind him, hey man, I'm using NFC, right? Acronyms are something that's going to pop up on the exam, right? Over and over and over and over again, you're going to see acronyms. So make sure that you know what the acronyms stand for to make things a little bit easier. So he's using NFC, or near field communication. All right. What is the most common central device used today to connect computers to a network? What is the most common central device used today to connect computers to a network? Hopefully you guys came up with a switch. Hopefully you guys came up with a switch. All right, so common central device used to connect computers to a network would be a switch. All right, next question. DNS works at the application layer of the what? This is a double whammy. The application layer is part of what? What model? The application layer is part of what model? The application layer is part of what model? The application layer is part of the OSI model, and DNS, or domain name service or server, works at the application layer. All right, gang, if you haven't done so, make sure that you like this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you check down in the description if you're looking for training, because you can sign up right now before this video is over. You can be done with a few of the lectures. Oh, another thing that comes up quite often, is this enough to pass the exam? No, man. No, this is super supplemental. This, if you just run through these videos and think you're gonna pass the exam, no, sir, or ma'am. Okay, what are the rules called that are used to govern network communications? Are they called protocols? Are they called objectives? Are they called features? Or are they called apps? So they are called protocols. They are called protocols. Rules, protocols, same thing. Okay, what PDU is found at the transport layer? So PDUs, right? PDUs are what encapsulation actually provides, right? So on the OSI model, and like I said, this stuff is all surface level. If you're looking for something deeper, if you're looking for better explanations, you need to be enrolled in the Zero to IT Hero program. So what PDU is found at the transport layer? Is it data? Is it segment? Is it packet? Or is it a frame? What do we think? Data, segment, packet, frame. So I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna click. So do we think that's right? What is it? Is it right? All right. So depending on where you are at in the OSI model and where you're at in the encapsulation process, depends on what type of data unit that you're actually sending, right? So at the top, at the tippity top, you're sending data. Everything in between, you may be sending a segment, a packet, or maybe just a frame. So what PDU is found at the transport layer? It would be a segment, okay? Another thing, gang, as you can see, we've talked about a little bit of everything. Hardware, software, now we're getting into networking. When you're actually taking the exam, this is how it's gonna be. It's not gonna be 20 questions about networking, then 20 questions about security, then 5 questions about printers. It's going to be exactly like this, right? A little bit of everything, questions all over the place, okay? Questions all over the place. If you haven't done so, thumbs up this video and subscribe and share with anybody who can benefit from it. Okay, what layer of the OSI model is responsible for compression and encryption of data? What layer of the OSI model is responsible for compression and encryption of data? What layer? Do we think it's application? Do we think it's presentation? Do we think it's session? Do we think it's transport? So I think it's presentation. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? What do you think? So the presentation layer is responsible for that. All right. And remember, the OSI model is just a representation to make it easier to figure out how data moves through your network. Continue. Okay, what layer of the OSI model is responsible for opening, closing, and managing communication between source and destination applications? Do we think it's application? Do we think it's presentation? Do we think it's session? Or do we think it's transport? Which one? So believe it or not, session is responsible for this. All right, so we're going heavy on the OSI model right now. Which layer of the OSI model do MAC addresses and switches use? Which layer of the OSI model does use MAC addresses and switches? If you haven't done so, make sure that you like this video and subscribe, send to anybody who can find use with it. As I said before, in the comments and scrolling down there is going to be the link to enroll inside of the Zero to Hero bundle. Right now, students are finishing a program in about 4 months, and they're getting their first certification in 30 days, right? And once you finish the program, you'll have Microsoft training, you'll be ITF Plus certified, A Plus certified, Net Plus certified, and Security Plus certified. You'll have the certifications that employers are looking for before 2022, and you will have the stuff that you need, and you'll be getting taught by yours truly in a fashion that is fun, interactive, and in a way that anybody can understand. All right, so which layer in the OSI model do MAC addresses and switches use? I'm saying the data link layer. What do you guys think? Hopefully it's right. So the data link layer, boom, boom. All right, so which protocol do you use as a transport protocol for a video application? Do we use TCP? Do we use UDP? Do we use FTP? Do we use RDC? So I think it's UDP. So the difference between TCP and UDP is that TCP I don't know why I said probably, but TCP needs a verification, right? It needs somebody to tell them like, hey, we got it, everything's okay. UDP doesn't need that, right? So a video application such as YouTube, if it uses TCP, it will be a much slower process, and there will be a lot of buffering, because every time it sent you a bit, every time it sent you a little bit of data, it will want some kind of confirmation that that data was received. And that small little handshake or that small little communication would slow down the streaming of whatever video that you were trying to look at. UDP just sends it as fast as possible. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And that makes it a lot faster process. Okay, we're talking about this shit for about the last 10 questions. So what are the 7 layers found in the OSI model in order, right? Well, when not usually on the actual, because this can kind of be confusing, but usually when they talk about in order, they're talking about from bottom to top. All right. So the bottom would be starting from physical. The top would be starting from application. So if it says from top down, it's application down. If it says from bottom to top, it'll be physical and up. What do we think? What do we think? So I think it's the second one. Damn, I was wrong. So doesn't say the same thing. Physical data, network, transport session. Transport. Oh shit, see? I didn't even read the whole damn answer. See? So the second one says physical data link network transport session application. I just told y'all the damn application was the last one. So just like me, I just fell victim to something I told y'all not to do. The OSI model is physical data link network transport session presentation application. So things like this can be tricky on the exam. And just like I said, if you're too quick, you can end up messing up just like I did. Or again, if you are getting value from this, make sure you thumbs up the video and subscribe. Thumbs up the video and subscribe. So what ports are used by DHCP by default? What ports are used by DHCP by default? What ports? So I think it's 67 and 68. Let's see if we're right. So those ports are used by default by DHCP. All right, Jane types itmasterkey.com, which you guys need to type in your browser right now to get certified, only to receive an error message. She then tries several other websites and receives the same error message. She soon finds that her internet connection seems to be down. She goes to her IP settings and sees it starts with 169. What is the problem? So hopefully you guys got a chance to read it over. What most likely happened is that the DHCP server has not issued her device an IP. So if the DHCP server doesn't issue your device an IP address, what happens most times is that it's given a private IP address, and usually that IP address starts with 169. So that's like a quick troubleshooting thing. If you go somewhere 169, then the DHCP server for some reason skipped over that device and didn't give it an IP address. Fiber connections use which of the following mediums to move data? Very good. Glass. Super simple. Good. Static electricity can cause massive damage to PC components. Is that true or is that false? True. Too easy. Good. All right. Ronnie needs to upgrade RAM in a laptop from 4 gigabytes to 8 gigabytes. Which of the following should he do first? What's the first thing he should do? Should he download the newest chipset drivers, enable TPM, review the vendor laptop documentation, flash the BIOS configuration? Which one of those should he do first? Very good. First thing you should do, always review the vendor laptop documentation. Always do that. Always. All right. Jenny was notified that a laptop is not booting. It is discovered that, It is discovered that there are no system lights, sounds, or display when the power button is pressed. Which of the following should Jenny attempt first in the troubleshooting process? Let me read that again. Jenny was notified that a laptop is not booting. It is discovered that there are no system lights, sounds, or display when the power button is pressed. Which of the following should Jenny attempt first in the troubleshooting process? Should she connect an external monitor into the laptop to determine if the LCD has failed? Boot the system from either a boot CD or other removable media? Disconnect the AC and battery power and hold the power button for several seconds? Remove any hard drives or optical drives, RAM, and wireless cards or USB devices from the laptop? I think the first thing she should do is disconnect the AC and battery power and hold the power button for several seconds. Let's see. I was kind of wrestling with two of the answers. Let's see. Very good. Okay, because I would say the second thing would be that I would try after disconnecting the connector and the battery. I would try to connect an external monitor to see, okay, is it the actual display that's jacking up? Okay, which of the following RAM types can continue working if there is corrupt data? Which one of those can continue working even if it comes in contact with some corrupt data? So I would say it's probably this. The reason I say that, like I said before, acronyms, right? So corrupt data can also be looked at as some errors, right? And ECCC, I think I put too many C's on it, but it stands for error correcting code. So that would be something I would try and correct it and still keep on working out because it actually tried to get rid of the corrupted stuff. Okay, which of the following will be the most important factor to consider when building a virtualization workstation? Would it be a high-end graphics card with onboard memory, a compact form factor, dual monitor support, or maximum RAM and CPU cores? What do we think? I'm gonna say maximum RAM and CPU cores, and I was correct. So the reason that is because our virtualization workstation can actually be just as robust as a physical workstation, right? So you want to make sure that you have a lot of RAM and a lot of CPU cores so that your physical laptop or your physical machine can run as well as running the virtual machines that it's hosting, right? You understand? Does that make sense? So you got to have a RAM and the CPU for your physical device. And then you also have to have additional RAM and cores to make sure that whatever the virtual servers or whatever you're using it for can run as well, right? All right, Angela requests that the desktop system she is buying is able to be used at her vacation home in another country, as well as at home in the US. The technician is aware that the country mentioned has different power requirements. Which of the following should Angela ensure the desktop contains? Should it have dual voltage options, a UPS, an inverter, or a micro ATX connector? So it should have dual voltage options, because a lot of times outside the US, they may be running at a higher voltage. And if you just plug that device into there, it's going to be too much juice and it's going to blow your damn device up. All right, so got a few more questions left, but need you guys to do a few things. One thing, like this video. Second thing, subscribe to this channel. Third thing, share with somebody that can benefit from it. All right. Okay, a technician is troubleshooting a desktop that is having intermittent issues with locking up and system errors. The technician suspects that the problem might be that not enough power is getting to the motherboard. Which of the following tools would a technician use to determine if the hypothesis is correct? Would he use a postcard? Would he use a loopback plug? Would he use a multimeter? Or would he use a cable tester? What do we think? Perfect, a multimeter. Which of the following is important when replacing a power supply and a workstation located in a data center service rack? A fanless power supply should be used. The proper voltage must be selected. The unit must be the same or less wattage. The power connector location must be the same. What do we think? So it says, which of the following is important when replacing a power supply and a workstation located in a data center? Which one is the most important? I'm going to say that the unit must be the same or less wattage. That's what I'm going to say. Let's see what it says. All right, so I was going to go with that one if it wasn't it. All right, so the proper voltage must be selected. I was wrestling with that. So just like you guys are going to be wrestling with questions and answers, I do the same thing, and I'm the one that made these damn questions, right? So that was actually my first thought, but for some reason I went against it, and that's something that'll happen to you inside the box as well. You're a damn and you'll think of I don't know why the hell I picked that. But anyway, proper voltage must be selected, because just like we said before, if you have too much juice, why didn't I pick that? If you have too much juice, it's gonna blow the whole damn server rack up. Whole damn server rack is gonna get out of there. All right, so which of the following types allows for mirroring? Which of the following RAID types allows for mirroring? Once again, if you don't know acronyms, if you don't know what RAID is, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Like I said, this right here is helpful for you guys, but this is not going to be enough for you to pass the exam. If you're trying to actually pass A+ in the next 30 days, that's both parts. Make sure that you hit the link below, getting a 0 to IT Hero bundle, where students literally every day are passing certifications and beginning their journey. And at the end of their journey with me, they will have A+, Net+, Security+, ITF+, and a bunch of Microsoft training, right? So the answer to this question is RAID 1 and RAID 10 offers mirroring. Before we get into anything else, just want to tell you guys, I appreciate you guys for sliding through, liking the channel. Make sure that you watch my last video. It'll be super helpful in your journey. I've said it 1,000 times. Make sure that you're not wasting time. Make sure that you are using your time wisely. The best use of your time would be to learn from other people's mistakes, to do what you need to do. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm about execution. So that's why I'm pushing so many of you guys to get into IT. I'm pushing you guys to get inside of the program. One more time, in the link below is a link directly to the Zero to IT Hero Bundle. That's going to be your fastest way to success. You don't have to second guess. You don't have to think about what should I study. It comes with all the stuff I mentioned, comes with practice tests, practical exercises, comes with the vouchers to take the exams, comes with a study group, and it comes with monthly accountability calls from yours truly, and additional mentorship to help you get over the hump. So, gang, hopefully you enjoyed this video. And other than that, I'll see you in class. Hey gang, it's Ron from ITMasterKey.com, and my job is to help each and every one of you guys get certified. So in this video, we're going to be talking about some practice questions for the A+ exam. We're not going to waste any time. We're going to get straight into it. If it's your first time doing a test prep with me, once again, I'm Rob from ITMasterKey.com. If you're looking to get certified in the next 30 days, hit the link below and enroll inside of the Zero to IT Hero program. So we've been focusing primarily on 1001. The next video is coming up. We're going to dive into 1002. So we're going to go through these questions as a family. I'm going to read the question to you. I'm going to tell you what the answer is and tell you why that is the answer. Okay, let's go and get straight to it. All right, so Jimmy Longtooth is currently running XP on his machine. He wants to ensure that his system is 100% up to date with all service packs. Every time he tries, not tires, because that wouldn't make sense. Every time he tries to run Windows Update, no updates are found. What most likely is the issue? Has XP reached end of life? No network connection? DNS has been rerouted? Traceroute has failed. For the next questions, I'm not going to read the answers because I know if you guys are on YouTube, you can read. So I'm going to let you read the answers for yourself. What do you think is the answer? I'm thinking most likely, right? So it said, what's most likely the issue? I'm going to say that XP has reached end of life. All right. So when something reaches end of life, that just basically means that the manufacturer, whether it's Microsoft, Apple, so on and so forth, doesn't give support anymore. So it's not going to allow any more updates. You can rock out if you want to with updates, but the manufacturer won't allow any more updates or won't be giving you any kind of support. So what is the CySA triad? What does that stand for? On the actual exam, it's going to be a lot of acronyms. And like I tell you guys before, these acronyms will literally sneak up behind you and choke you to death inside the actual testing center. So just make sure that you know what acronyms stand for. And once you figure out what they stand for, make sure that you know what it pertains to, if it's broke, and how to fix it. So this is talking about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. What type of malware is described? Doesn't reveal itself. Uh-oh. See, we were talking about stuff. My damn support assistant is about to expire in 41 days. Oh, well. I don't need any damn support. Oh, shit. I got to update something. All right. Anyway, back to what we're doing. Doesn't reveal its presence. Replace keys, system files, and utilities. Provide backdoor for handler, evade, antivirus software. So these are just, this isn't an entire sentence. This is just pretty much attributes. So it doesn't reveal its presence, replace key system files and utilities, provide backdoor access for whoever, and evades antivirus software. What do we think it is? Out of those, that describes the attributes of a rootkit, one of the suckiest viruses you can get and one of the hardest viruses to get rid of. Which of the following would be considered PII? Another acronym, and if you don't know what it stands for, it's going to be hard to figure out what this is talking about. So PII is personal identifiable information. So if somebody has enough PII, they can steal your identity and go buy a bunch of Jordans or go buy a bunch of damn rocket launchers, depending on what type of time they on. So I would say it would be, come on, Mr. Mouse. All right. I would say his social security number is considered PII. All right, again, we 5 questions in. Hopefully you're enjoying this so far. The only fee for admission for this quick class is to like the video, share, and subscribe to the channel. PII is not a major priority for big corporations due to government interference. Would you say that's true, or would you say that's false? I would say that that is false. So just a quick little caveat. There are no true or false questions on the actual exam. Most of the questions on the exam are going to be scenario-based questions. All right, so what is chain of custody? What does that mean? Out of those options, what would correlate mostly to chain of custody? All right, so I would say tracking assets, evidence as they are moved from the crime scene. So there's something called digital forensics, meaning that if something weird happens on somebody's computer, they steal some information, they do something illegal, there's some evidence on their actual information, that would be digital forensics. And you got to make sure you got a right or a good chain of custody, because let's say that I got some weird stuff on my computer. The FBI finds out I got that stuff on my computer, but my homeboy works at the storage locker at the police station, right? And I say, hey, man, can you please delete all these files? I'll send you some Bitcoin. He said, all right, bet. I sent him some Bitcoin. He deletes all the files. But one thing that he messed up was they knew that he had the laptop when the stuff got deleted, because he passes it up to the next person. And they said, okay, when the person before you had the laptop, all the stuff was on there. Once the person after you had it, none of the stuff was on there. You did it. Time to go to jail. Okay. In security terms, authorization can be best defined as what? What do you think it is? I'm going to say that it is the first answer. So in security terms, authorization is the process of determining what rights and privileges a particular identity or entity has. This third one, a means for a user to prove their identity to a computer system, that would be more like authentication. All right. In security terms, auditing can be best defined as which of those? Would it be the process of determining rights and privileges, the process of tracking and recording system activities, how to provide or for a person to prove their identity? What do we think it is? All right, tracking and recording what they're doing. That would be auditing. Sorry if you can hear me sniffling. I apologize. My allergies have been whooping my ass. All right, so what protocol does a VPN use to secure traffic? What protocol does a VPN use to secure traffic? I'm gonna say it's SSH or secure shell. Let's see if I'm right. Damn, it's IPsec. Oh man, I got it wrong. Oh, it feels terrible. So, long story short, I did that because I had my mind on other things. But on the actual exam, right? Let's make sure that we're paying attention, that we don't go too fast, or we're gonna make a mistake like that. On the actual exam, you got to get. On the first part, you have to get a 675, right? I think it's like 70-some% right to pass the exam. Now that sounds like, oh, that's not too bad, but that's only 90 questions, okay? And another thing, another question might be, where are these questions coming from? Each one of these questions I made myself, and all these questions are available in addition to all the training that we already provide to our students. So if you're in the Zero to IT Hero bundle program, you already got all this stuff. So VPNs only use IPsec for encrypting passwords. Is that true or is that false? What am I doing? I would say it's false. All right, so a VPN, right? A virtual private network, if you don't already know, it encrypts all the traffic, right? That encrypts or encapsulates all the traffic, not just passwords. All right, Ron is targeting the CFO of Global Pens Incorporated. He has tried various social engineering techniques to try to siphon information from the CFO about the company. This type of social engineering attack would be best known as what? So we only 11 questions in, right? I want you guys to still focus on that question, but also listen to me. And look at all the different things we've talked about. We talked about some networking stuff. We talked about some security stuff. We talked about some super simple stuff. So just remember on the actual exam, that's how it's going to be. It's going to be a question about this, a question about that. It's just going to be various topics all over the board. But most of them are going to be stuff like this. Something is broke. How do you fix it? How do you prevent it? So on and so forth. So I would say that this answer is spear phishing. Spear phishing. Bam, I was right. This is the same one. Wait a damn minute. Let's make sure. Ron is targeting, because I don't want to move too fast. Ron is targeting, he has tried various social media. He has this type of, yes, spear phishing. What? So they read it too damn fast. All right, Ron is targeting Global Pens Incorporated. He has tried various social engineering techniques to try to gain any information about the company. He calls the front desk and pretends to be, oh, this is a good damn example. All right, so you see what I just did? Oh, this is the same damn question. No, it's not. Make sure that you slow down and don't make the mistake that I just made. Make sure you slow down, read the question, then you'll know the answer. So this kind of looks like the same damn question, but the biggest difference is this right here. He calls the front desk and pretends to be a high-level executive. If I'd have just read that little snippet, boom, I would have got impersonation. And remember, I made these damn questions and the answers. So if I'm getting these wrong, you definitely can get it wrong if you're going too fast inside the actual box, okay? What allows a router to translate a private IP address into a public IP address? What allows that to happen? If you haven't done so, gang, if you are gaining any value from this, like this video right now. I'm gonna quit IT, man. I'm gonna go start flipping bricks at the construction site, that is. All right, so what allows a router to translate a private IP address into a public IP address? I would say NAT does that. So network address translation. When you are on your network, you have a private IP address. When you go to the router, there's something called NAT that turns your private IP address into a public IP address, because private IP addresses can't be routed across the internet. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. Is that true or false? Get some go-go juice. Damn. So I've been trying to, side note, if you don't want to hear this, then click off and go take a nap. But I've been drinking an energy drink. I've been trying to stop it, drinking energy drinks. And if I do get energy, I try to get something that's organic or natural. If you are in any store, Whole Foods, Kroger, wherever the hell, and you see Runa berry boost. Unless you like the taste of beer, I wouldn't do it, man. It tastes very strange, but I bought it and I'm gonna drink it. Okay, ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. I'm gonna say yes. All right. Which of the following is true? Port forwarding encrypts all traffic. Port forwarding redirects traffic to the switch. Port forwarding is a legacy technology. Port forwarding allows for a dedicated port for specific traffic. What do we think? I'm going to say port forwarding forwards the traffic to a specific port, a dedicated port. Perfect. Again, we 16 questions in, and here's a word from our sponsors. To land an IT role, most likely you have to have some type of education. That education can come from degrees or even certifications. Speaking of certifications, over at itmagicKey.com, our Zero to Hero bundle is still enrolling, helping people get 7 certifications. 3 of the certifications being some of the most popular certifications in the industry. So if you're looking for some training online, got vouchers, hundreds of damn testimonials, helped out a bunch of people, head over to itmagicKey.com. All right, gang, we back. So, which of the following channels are non-overlapping? Which of the following channels are non-overlapping? I'm going to be honest with y'all, I do not know the answer to this one. So which one of the following channels are non-overlapping? So channels are used in Wi-Fi routers, right? So different channels are better for different things. If you have too many devices on the same channel, it can cause interference, so on and so forth. So which of the following channels are non-overlapping? I'm going to say 3611. Let's see. Check. Right, so it's 16 and 11. 16 and 11, non-overlapping. We just learned something new. If you didn't get to, I kind of went fast. 16 and 11. All right, a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi signal provides internet to a larger area, but sacrifices speed, while the 5 gigahertz band provides faster speeds to a smaller area. Do we think that's true, or do we think that's false? Do we think that's true, or do we think that's false? I'm actually going to delete this question because 5G is getting a lot more robust, a lot more robust. So this may not necessarily be true right now. Well, it is still kind of true right now, just because 5G is still kind of a shaky thing. But in the coming future, I don't think this is going to be true. People love blowing me up when I'm trying to give you guys the game. All right, so an open global standard for wireless technology designed to use low power digital signals for personal area networks. What does this describe? I would say it describes NFC, which stands for near field communication. Shit. Well, another one we got. I got wrong. Oh, damn, that's right. All right, so moving too fast, see, distracted. This is like perfect, and I'm not going to edit none of this stuff out because if you're distracted, if you're doing too much, Zigbee is that. That doesn't make sense. Why it wouldn't be NFC? That doesn't make sense. All right, very good. Zigbee, good. LoRaWAN uses a blank server, which is a server that acts as an intermediary for requests from clients seeking resources from other servers. What type of server is LoRaWAN using most likely? So keyword, intermediary, go-between, middleman. What do we think? I'm going to say it's probably a proxy server. Very good. So a proxy server is in between, a go-between Basically, a proxy server, you would use that if you didn't want to reveal your identity to another server. So instead of you connecting to a site directly, you will connect to the proxy server, and then the proxy server would connect to the site and not you. So it would look like the proxy was connecting to it as opposed to you. So I got a quick story. You want to hear it? Here you go. So not long ago, years ago, I used to resell sneakers, right? So the Jordans would come out, Yeezys would come out, the hottest sneakers would come out, and I would get those, and then I would resell them to sneakerheads, for profit. I was doing this while I was teaching, and a lot of my students were actually some of my customers on the side. I like sneakers, but I'm not a sneakerhead like that. I don't like to pay resale. But anyway, I would use proxy servers, right? Sometimes shoes would be exclusive to drop in London or drop in China, blah, blah, blah. And websites would know if you were in China, if you were in London. So I would buy a proxy server or just a server in that state, in that country. And I would actually buy the sneakers and just have them sent to an address there, and then I will have that address send them to me, right? So that's kind of one of the ways that you could use a server, a proxy server, so on and so forth. So it would look like that server was buying the sneakers as opposed to me. All right, so I've been a hustler for a long time, man. But I'm out of that game. So don't ask me, can I get you? Nope, I don't know nothing. Because that's one of the reasons that I do this, because when I was still teaching, I didn't have my own company yet, but one of the reasons I stopped doing it, because people was dropping $4, $5, $6, $1,000 on some shoes, and it's just like, this shit didn't make any sense. Like, this isn't going to get you anything. So I'm like, let me start giving these people something that is valuable. So Gary is a server administrator for Loop Inc. He set up a server that he uses to send diagnostic and monitoring data. The data he gathers can then be analyzed for system monitoring, network maintenance, and more. What type of server is Gary most likely using? What do we think? Damn, my bad, Joe. My bad. Hopefully if you got your headphones in, I apologize. These damn allergies ain't no joke. All right, so change this banner right quick. What the hell is the banner set for? So I'm gonna say a syslog server. Very good. All right, Junie wants to implement a security solution that covers multiple functions. She wants the solution to encompass both hardware and software solutions. She believes this would give the security posture more layers. What solution has she implemented? Let's see what she did. I'm going to say, let's see. I'm going to say a UTM. All right, so a UTM. A UTM is a universal threat management. So it kind of has layers, and it has detection, prevention, and kind of tries to put everything all in one to stop as many threats as possible. You know what? It's either UTM is either threat management or threat mitigation. Damn, which one is it? I'm gonna say threat management, but if it's not that, it's migration. Oh no, that's a migration. Hell no, it's universal threat management. Very good, great. Making myself proud. Which of the following security solutions is the most expensive to implement and maintain? Again, if you haven't done so far, make sure that you like this video. Leave a comment below. Let me know what you're working on. If you got A+, when you take an A+. Yeah, that's that. I'm gonna pause my screen right quick because, like I said, these allergies whoop my ass. So I'm gonna take me off the screen right quick. But just I'm gonna be right here with you guys, not going anywhere. But I gotta blow my damn. And I'm back like I never left. So, which of the following security solutions is the most expensive to implement and maintain? I would say it's going to be an IPS. So IPS is an intrusion prevention system or service. Then IDS is intrusion detection service. So IDS is kind of like uh, a security guard, right? So you hire just a regular security guard, pay him $9 an hour. Don't give him a gun, don't give him a flashlight, don't give him nothing. And when he sees somebody breaking in, he calls you like, "Hey man, somebody was breaking in," and he say, "I'll call the shit." He might even call the police, but he pretty much isn't going to do anything himself. As opposed to an IPS, actually tries to prevent the threats. So it'd be barbed wire around the building, it'd be cameras, it'd be firewalls, it'd be antivirus, it'd be a little bit of everything to try and prevent stuff. And then when something does happen, it actually try to remove it, right? So detection, IDS just detects it. IPS actually tries to prevent it, and then if something does get past it, it tries to get rid of it. So we've been talking about this. Is that true or false? I'm gonna say false because I just told you 10 times what the hell it stands for. And IDS is, you should be able to get this as well. Is it retractive, reflective, proactive, reactive? I would say it's reactive. Boom, on the road. All right, Mikey has 100 computers that he needs to put on his network. He has a pool of addresses that can be assigned to these devices. He starts to assign these addresses to each device manually. Which type of method is Mikey using to assign these addresses? We're almost 30 minutes in. I'm gonna keep rocking with you guys. I usually only make these 30 minutes. I think I'm gonna make this one 30 minutes and 30 seconds. Anyway, I'm gonna say static, right? So when it comes to assigning IP addresses, static and manually can be interchangeable. Interchangeable. They can be used interchangeably. All right, gang. So this is our next question. Dynamically assigned IPs are handled by the who's responsible for assigning IP addresses automatically. While you think about that, I just want to tell you a quick story that I'm proud of. Our students over at itmasterkey.com and the Zero to IT Hero program are getting certified in 30 days. The certification that they are getting is A+. Actually, students are getting ITF Plus and A+ in 30 days. And most students are getting the whole shebang. That's ITF Plus, A+, Net Plus, and Security Plus in 90 days. So in about 3 to 4 months. So if that sounds good to you, if you like the way I teach, the training comes with online lectures, hours and hours of lectures, a study group, an accountability coach, which will be me or one of the other instructors, mentorship, and vouchers to take the exam. So it's a win-win situation. It's going to be in the description if you're interested. And it includes A+, of course. All right, so the DHCP server is responsible for doing that. The process the DHCP server goes through to dynamically assign IP addresses is referred to what? What is that referred to as? And I'm never buying this shit again. Barry Boots. I would say it is Dora. Discover, offer, request, acknowledge. Another acronym that you got to know. Oh, another thing, we 30 minutes in, so if you want some truth, here you go. Is this enough to pass the A plus? Nope. Are the questions on the actual exam more difficult than this? Probably so. So if you are having a hard time with this shit, if I am, dropping some stuff that you never heard before, that's great. Everybody has to start somewhere, but you definitely need to get into the training sooner than later. Okay. Lena has set a pool. What? Lena has set us what? Yeah. Lena has set aside a pool of addresses to be used on Lucky Loop's network. Lucky Loops wants to make sure each server receives the same IP address every time from the DHCP server. What does Lena need to do to ensure this happens? Make sure that you thumbs up the video. Make sure that you subscribe. And if you find it in your heart to buy me a coffee, you can always donate to the channel as well. If you already have these certifications, all of the proceeds go right back to stuff just like this. You guys got enough time to look this over. I would say you just reserve those IP addresses. Boom. What is the default? We're getting real heavy into the networking. What is the default subnet mask for a Class B? That says B. Class B IP address. Now, if you don't know what subnet mask is, if you don't know what networking is, you probably was real confident before this damn slide came up. Now it's I don't know. So once again, this is not the actual exam, right? If this was the actual exam, a lot more people would probably be shit. I don't know, because a lot of y'all probably don't know the answers to this stuff either. But that's okay. So the default subnet mask for Class B IP address is 255.255.0.0. Okay, go another one. What about the subnet mask for a Class A IP address? If you don't know what an IP address is, that's okay. An IP address is your logical IP address, your logical address on the network. You have to have an IP address on the network to connect to other devices and to send and receive information. All right, so Class A is 255.0.0.0. I think I said enough zeros. What about Class C? Class A, I'll give you guys a little hint. If you ain't getting what the hell going on, it's 255. Class B is 255.255. So what do we think Class C is? Now you're getting it. 255.255.255.0. If the device you're using has an incorrect gateway, you will be able to access the internet. Is that true? Or is that false? I'm trying to figure out, am I going to do another 1001 video or just let this be the last one? This might be the last one, depending on how long I do it. What the hell did I just say? Okay, so I would say it's false, right? Your gateway is your router. Your router is your gateway. Don't have one of those, and you better get on the internet. Network address translation translates blank into blank that can be routed across the internet. I gave you the answer to this one earlier. Hopefully you said private IP addresses into public IP addresses. CAN networks are predominantly used for which of the following? Now, if you know what that stands for, like I said before, it makes this question 10 times easier. Like literally, it damn near gives you the answer. So educational organizations. CAN stands for Campus Area Network. Campus Area Network. So colleges, schools, that kind of stuff. Give me 1 second. I need to text the president. All right, so Janice lives in a rural part of Sleepytown, Minnesota. She has a form of internet that is extremely dependent on LOS. If any obstructions are in the way of the connection, it will cease to work correctly. What type of internet connection does Janice have most likely? What do we think? I would say that she most likely has satellite, because satellite is super dependent on LOS. And LOS is stands for line of sight. So basically, if clouds or anything is in between you and the damn you and the satellite, you ain't gonna be able to get no signal. I got some more exciting news for you, gang. So right now, it's October for me, and I'm talking to you in the future. So it's December. In December, I'm dropping videos Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 2 o'clock. Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Some motivational stuff, some current news, some of this type of stuff. So just be looking forward to a video every day. Not every day. I'm not. I love you guys, but not that damn much. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. DSL stands for Direct Satellite Link. Is that true or false? That is false, believe it or not, gang. That stands for Digital Subscriber Link. Marcus is running Cat 6 cable for a new startup. What tool should he use? What tool should he use to terminate the cable ends for the device? Yeah, I think it's going to be the last 1,001. I'm going to jump into 1,002. All right, so believe it or not, crimper. So terminate just means you putting a connector on the end of the cable. Which of the following tools will be used the most when implementing setting up data lines at an MDF? I would say a punch down tool. Let's see if I'm right. Bam. A loopback test is a test in which a signal is sent from a communication device and returned loop back to it as a way to determine whether the device is working right or as a way to pin down a failing node in a network. I'm going to say that's false. That's actually true. Oh shit, yeah, of course, that is true. I'm sorry. So there's something else called a toner probe, right? And that kind of does the same thing a little bit. But a loopback test literally just makes sure there's a full loop, a full communication loop, making sure that I send it from you, it comes back to me, or it goes to where it's supposed to go to. I read this completely messed up. So there's something called a toner probe, right? And it can actually do something like this, but I only looked at failing node in the network. So a toner probe sends a tone down a Ethernet cable or a cable in general, and it'll tell you if it's disconnected, and if it is disconnected, or if the line is broke or it's broken. So I'm about 3. Shit, I got about 2 or 3 wrong already. Shame on me. Of the following, which sends an audible pulse down? God damn it. I gave y'all the answer. But like I said, I'm keeping this live. I'm not editing it. I want you to see, like even me, been doing this for years. If you don't read the question or if you're moving too fast, you'll get this shit wrong. So just be careful, okay? Toner generator and probe. A Wi-Fi analyzer helps you optimize your Wi-Fi for best performance. Do we think that's true or do we think that's false? Hey gang, make sure you like this video, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna say that's true. Lane is the project. Lane is the project. That's that word. Lane is a project manager for Lane Industries. He is currently on site of the company's newest acquisition. He is talking to the network engineer about network implementation. The engineer informs Lane that he needs to use cabling that is fire retardant. What type of cabling is the engineer referring to? I'm gonna say plenum rated. Plenum rated. Plenum rated cabling is fire retardant. STP cabling helps to reduce what type of interference? So this is another acronym. As you've seen, it's a bunch of acronyms and they can really throw you off. So STM or STP stands for shielded twisted pair. Shielded twisted pair. And that stops EMI, which is electromagnetic interference. STP is more expensive than UTP. Shielded versus unshielded. It's pretty straightforward. That would be true. Excuse me. A cable that uses T568B on both ends would be referred to as a what? What kind of cable? We'll start a yard, man. That may be. It's time for me to wrap it up. I'm gonna say straight through cable, crossover cable. So, once again, moving too quick. So, straight through cable is used for unlike devices. A crossover cable is used for like devices. The T568B and T568 standards are just standards of how to make the cable. So somebody can just unplug it, look at it, and say, oh, this is what kind of cable it is. Okay. So crossover is usually used for like devices, switch to switch, computer to computer. Straight through device is usually used for unlike devices. Lenny has just received his fiber installation certification. When installing fiber cables, Lenny must ensure he does not exceed what? You know what I got to tell you for a gang? Some peanut M&Ms. I'm about to make sure that somebody brings them to me. Send. All right, so you can't exceed the bend radius. If you exceed the bend radius, it's going to break the damn cable. It's going to be no good. One of the major differences between category 5B and the newer category 6 is what? I'm going to say CAC 6 is supposedly to be able to handle gigabit Ethernet. So we can have 1 gig running through there, 1 gigahertz, or 1 gig, excuse me. Gang, make sure that this video has been liked, shared, and that button, that big ass red button that says subscribe, make sure it's not red anymore. It should be gray if you are subscribed. If the cable you're using for the internet has terminated using a RJ11, you're most likely using what type of internet? Another thing, gang, make sure that if my subscriber count is less than 15,000 when you're watching this video, that you subscribe to the damn channel. All right, so I will say if you use an RJ11, you're probably using that good old dial-up, man. No bueno. A DB9 has a 9-pin connector. Is that true? False? What we think? It's definitely true, man. What type of solid state drive plugs directly into an expansion port on the motherboard? I'm going to say an M2 SSD. Lin has implemented an array that focuses primarily on speed and provides no redundancy. What level of RAID has Lin used? I'm going to say 0. I'm going to say RAID 0. Make sure that you are familiar with the various things that we covered today, but make sure that you feel comfortable with the RAID levels as well. So RAID primarily is going to be centered around data storage. Give me 1 minute, gang. I'm going to be right back, I promise. What's up, baby?
My key not working.
All right, I'll be out there in a minute. Be right back, gang. The missus calls. All right, gang, I'm back. So we'll go through a few more questions, then I'm going to let you guys have a good day. All right, so RAID 5 needs a minimum of how many disks to be implemented? At a minimum, how many disks do we need to implement RAID 5? So believe it or not, you need at least 4. You need 4 to actually need 3. I'm tripping. You need 3 for this. So none of these. You need 3 to implement RAID. So that's another thing. Like I said, make sure that you feel comfortable with RAID because it's going to come up on the actual exam. And avoid distractions. I mean, hold on. Let me see. Yeah, come on, baby. All right, so don't do don't do nothing extra though. So next question. RAID JBOD refers to what? That refers to literally just a bunch of disks. So you're not really, it's a level of RAID kinda, but you don't really care. It's literally just a bunch of disks. That's what it stands for. RAID 10 encompasses both blank and blank data. Hopefully you pick the last one, mirroring and striping. Hot swappable refers to devices being out of tolerance with baseline standards. Is that true or is that false? All right, guys, as you can see, wife in the background, people calling me, all kind of stuff. In life, you're going to have distractions. In life, you're going to have, a bunch of shit going on at the same time. Me, I'm in a hotel, right? But one thing I don't make is excuses, right? Most people would have just took this time off. Most people would have just been like, shit, I'm in a hotel. I can't really do this. Not me, though. I got a finite amount of time on this earth, and I'm going to use all of it to be, as productive as possible. That shit is not true. Hot swap refers to devices being out of tolerance with baseline standards. No. Hot swap just means that you can unplug stuff and plug it back in without turning the power on. Because a long time ago, you couldn't do that. You couldn't swap out devices without turning the damn device off. What form factor for motherboards is the most popular? Talking about how nasty this drink is, and I damn near drunk the whole thing. I'm gonna say ATX. Which boot option loads minimal drivers needed? The minimal amount of drivers needed. I'm gonna say safe mode. Safe mode will help you troubleshoot to see what's wrong. Hey gang, as I said before, I've been on here rocking out with you guys for an hour, and you know my time is precious. I can't get it back. So at a minimum, like this damn video, share, subscribe. If you need training, come to itmasterkey.com. If you're not looking for training, refer one of your buddies, one of your friends. The top of next year, we're going to start. You need to get over it? The top of next year, we're going to start interviewing students. We already did that. We got a bunch of students in the queue. I just got to make time to make it happen, right? All right, so safe mode, boom. Jessica wants to use full drive encryption via BitLocker. What must be present for this to be possible? So she needs a TPM chip for that to be possible. Luke wants to use software that can locate his laptop if it's lost or stolen. What would allow you? That's it. Just like the L log. Forget it. He doesn't need it. Luke to find his laptop. What would let him do that, man? So out of all the software that's going to come up on the exam, LoJack is going to be the answer to this. Now, there's other softwares that can do this. We know that. But if it's asked on the exam, LoJack is the preferred one for some reason. All right, so Jim is a security engineer that's troubleshooting a system. He wants to prevent malicious software applications and unauthorized operating systems from loading during system startup. Which option below can assist Jim? I'm going to say that I need to read the damn question again. Jim is a security engineer that's troubleshooting a system. He wants to prevent malicious software applications and unauthorized operating systems from loading during the system startup process. Which option below can Jim use? I'm going to say secure boot. Secure boot should allow him to do that. Very good. You are upgrading a CPU for a customer. Once you've taken out the old CPU and placed a new CPU into the socket, what should you place on the CPU before attaching the heatsink? What do we think? Believe it or not, you should put thermal paste. All right, gang. So that's it. That's all. I want my wife to be able to. Well, I'm about to record another video. I want my wife to be able to enjoy herself and relax. But I'm gonna make one more video and then we're going to arm wrestle each other. But anyway, gang. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Hit the link below to watch our previous videos and to enroll into the Zero to IT Hero bundle. Other than that, you already know. I'll see you in class.